the impropriety of it all. Oh, that's the show.
Oh, we're on. Did you have the volume down?
I want you to get up now. I want all of you to get up out of your chairs. I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, "I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore!"
Good evening, everybody. Welcome. This is Brian Smith on Smith Radio, along with
Carrie Smith,
giving you all the details and all the news that you need to know for the last week and getting you set up for the week to come. It has been a tremendous week full of information. Sunday, the March 8th, 2015. We are going live every Sunday night at 5 p.m. due to scheduling conflicts. And be patient with us this evening on Sound Bites. We are technically impaired.
Challenged. We are technically challenged.
Mr. Producer swears that the Ethernet is not clogged.
It's the electrician with the suspenders and the vase exposed.
Well, I hope the suspenders would really keep those pants up, but they don't.
No. I don't know what that is.
Oh, man. So we're going to touch on a lot of things. We're definitely going to touch on Selma, Obama, and Hilary, along with Dick Turbin Durbin. Oh, big things coming out of Wisconsin legislature with Scott Walker, who is my personal hero. I am not tipping my hat to him for president, but...
I like to tease about our list of things that you should never say to your child.
Oh!
Did you get that?
Did you?
I sent it to you.
Yes. I was looking at that. It made me pull up a Salon.com article.
Oh my gosh! So you might as well have pulled an article from Death to America Communist for the World.org.
The title was 10 Things Whites Don't Know That They're Racist.
That is the most racist title I've ever... Hello, pot, meet kettle. Oh, my goodness.
And I was told today, just on a side note, speaking about racism, because this show pretty much is going to interweave itself like a tightly woven basket of racism.
Like a silk shirt.
Right.
That tightly woven.
We have a close friend of ours that is a high school teacher.
Oh, okay.
And they had a position that's like a part-time position for art, where they would come in for one day a week and display their art and talk to the kids about it. And they make $1,000
to do one day.
Yeah,
that's like $365,000 a year. Well, if you did
it every
7 days.
Come on, man. You know the school's not in session. No, he's only one day a week, so it'd be like a $50,000 if you work 52 weeks, which you don't. It'd be a $52,000 a year job for working one day a week.
Well, and then they get the summers off.
So the person the person that was currently had the position and left for whatever reason, was let go. Our friend mentioned to the director, "Hey, I know somebody who would be perfect for this job."
Okay.
However, she didn't disclose the nepotism involved.
Oh, really? Okay.
And she said he is a very good unknown artist.
Okay.
It'd be right up his alley. The director said the first words out of her mouth were, "Is he African American?"
That was the first word.
Our friend said, "What the hell does that?
What does that have to do with it?"
Well, if they were African American, they'd be able to relate to the students better.
What?
Yes!
This is
a closed door meeting.
So first of all,
public school district. Public.
So we did how many different ways can we be racist? It's one thing to be racist against the artist. Okay, we're obviously discriminating against him by...
Did I call him a him? Oh, I let the cat out the bag.
could be a woman. No, she could have said, well, is he a woman?
Right. But she was referring because she's insinuating that the large student body is made up of African American people.
No, what she did say, I know what she's thinking. She's thinking, well, we have mostly black people here. That's what she's thinking.
Right.
What she said was, we don't have any white people, and if by chance we do, they don't matter.
Right.
Well, that's one thing. Another thing, she's saying a whole lot of things with that one simple question. She's also saying that black people cannot, incapable of, relating with a white person.
Right.
Because the way I look at it is this. If you have a black person who has a propensity towards art, maybe has a talent in the art field,
right,
I don't see a problem with somebody who's a very well-established, experienced artist that happens to be white. I really don't see any problem whatsoever with getting those two together. What's wrong with that?
No, I don't see anything.
We're literally segregating here. We're intentionally going out of our way to make sure that blacks only will ever be encouraged to relate with blacks, or we've given up on them. We've said, well, you know what, they're black, and I know blacks, and blacks just won't listen to white people. Is that the message she's saying? Literally, isn't that the message she's saying? That's what she's saying. She's saying, well, I know you got a really good candidate here, but we got black people in this school, and you know, they're not going to listen to a white person.
Especially a white male speaking about art. Come on.
What if he's Eminem? I mean, does that make a difference?
I don't know. Well, Vanilla Ice is real artistic.
He is, actually.
As a builder.
Have you seen some of his
Somebody said something about him going to jail.
You said that. I must have heard it from somebody else.
I keep seeing the article, but I keep failing to read it.
You keep seeing the link. Yeah. Somebody put a link, and you're just not clicking on it.
I can't. Dude, my hand won't allow me to go there.
Oh, you know what that's like? That's like low information voters who have a link to a real conservative website that has actual factual events. And they're like, I know I should, but I just can't. I can't get myself to click on it.
So just wrapping up our friend, she asked me. She called me first thing in the morning, early in the morning. She said, "Do you think that's right?"
Right, it's absolutely racist.
Racist.
Yes.
She's like, "Do you really think so?" I said, "Of course."
Absolutely racist.
And she did make a comment about something she said in the classroom amongst the predominantly black students that may show that we're out of touch with black students. Somebody asked for her food. They do that all the time, apparently. They ask, hey, are you going to eat the rest of that?
Who says
to
that?
The teacher. The students to the teacher.
Okay. Wait a minute. Is she eating in front of her students?
Apparently.
Why is she eating in front? You went to school, didn't you?
No, you never ate in class, or the teacher
never
ate in
front
of us.
Seen a teacher ever put anything in their mouth? Ever.
No. Well,
not even a cigarette.
But you would smell them.
That's true.
They reeked.
But
like
they would never
coffee,
let you catch
bad breath, and horrendous
Now, we did have a teacher that always had that old diner-style cup, the coffee mug. The old diner style,
right.
Always had it. It wasn't like a world's greatest dad or world's greatest coach. He happened to be the baseball coach. Okay. And he was a legend, an absolute legend. I think he won state for the school a bunch of times back in the 70s. And so when he was an old man when we went there, and the team was not any good. But anyway, he always had this mug in his hand, and it was always reeking of vodka. And he always was slurring.
Dude, you're lying.
No, I'm not lying.
You're lying.
He always had that mug. And it always had coffee in it. It had coffee in it, but it was spiked. Big time spiked.
Yikes.
His face was always red.
Wow. Wait, that red face comes from...
Well, he was Indian. I'm just kidding.
Native American?
Oh, yeah. No, he was from India, but he had a red face.
Well,
it's really weird.
That is interesting. So no, she said that she told the student, "He can have it, but don't be a slob. Don't."
So she's eating in front of her students. The students are like, I've been eating in days.
It was like the Sally Struthers commercial back in the day for Feed the Children.
Just 12 cents a minute.
Won't you please feed the children? And
then,
she's weighing 350 pounds.
Well, and then as soon as they would cut, they wouldn't even cut. They still had the camera like facing the children.
Right.
And they had that really sad look in their face. Well, the reason they were sad was because she was just off frame.
Right.
Shoving bacon cheeseburgers down her throat.
Yeah, they had catered services. Craft. That's what they call it in Hollywood. It's called craft services.
Really?
Yeah.
Craft services.
Yeah, that's what it's called. They lay out the tables and the buffets.
It's not a roach coach.
No. Oh, no, sir. This is a full-on spread of anything and everything you can imagine.
And their silverware isn't plastic, and it's not even stainless steel. It's silver.
Solid.
It's sterling silver.
I mean, anything from
polished,
all different types of chocolates and sugars to keep you up and energized, I guess. Anything from Coke, Coca-Cola.
Oh, yeah, you've got to verify.
Anything from soda. I mean, the biggest buffet you've ever seen, that's what they provide on the set.
But they also had Coke.
They did have Coke. So she told the student, don't be a slob, and the students exploded.
They said, what do you mean by slob?
So you get shot talking like that on the streets. Like, what are you talking about? So she said, I just said slob, S-L-O-B.
Well, what happens is, and I will admit,
or S-L-O-P, slop. Oh, don't be sloppy. And they thought she said slob.
Well, either way, what's the difference?
Well, the whole student body agreed.
Between
between the Bloods and the Crips. The Crips call the Bloods slobs, and the Bloods call the Crips messy. No.
Something else.
Did they say something else?
So when they say slob, they aren't even talking about being messy. They're literally talking about a derogatory name for somebody.
Correct.
It has nothing to do with their sloppiness.
No, not even a little bit.
See, I was thinking it would be more racially, more of a typical progressive. Let's redefine a word and make it a racial slur.
Right.
But what you're saying is this is an actual gang term.
Right.
And so that has nothing to do with these kids need to be taken to the corner and taken to the woodshed.
You would think.
And say, let me tell you something. You, as a little teenager, do not get to tell us what the definition of words are. Right. That's our job. And I'm going to tell you right now, when I call you a slob, guess why it doesn't have anything to do with gang warfare? Because I don't know nothing about gang warfare. And if you do, that's your problem and not mine.
Right.
And if you want to further this debate, we can go to the principal's office.
I don't want to go there. Man, I've been there way too much.
Yeah.
Good times. Well, so I've got great news.
What difference at this point does it make?
But it's good news, though. My sound bites have uploaded.
Hey. So normally when we upload a soundbite, it's a couple seconds, and you just put them up. They wanted 10 minutes for an upload of a 5-second.
It was 2 kilobytes,
which is how long?
The small file. It's very tiny, minuscule.
So
file.
like maybe a 20-second soundbite or something.
Right, and they wanted 10 minutes to upload. I'm like, what?
So clearly somebody hijacked the Wi-Fi.
And this is supposed to be. The
highest speed. Oh, the FiOptics.
Yeah, FiOps.
FiOps.
So let's you want to blow up Hilary for a minute?
Go ahead. It's number 1 on our stack. So
it's not quite racist as racist can be, but
we are talking about the Democratic Party, aren't we?
Yeah, we are. I was kind of shocked this week to find out. Well, not shocked. I was taken back that it took so long to come out, but apparently, and it's all over the news. So you might have heard that Hilary has a private server in her house.
Wait. When you say server, do you mean a computer?
No, it's her computer, and she has a physical. This is what I've been told. This is what I've read. She has a physical server in her house.
You mean a maid? I mean, what are you talking about?
Yeah, you know the big thing in the closet.
Computer. Okay, when you said
server,
I'm like, what, is she getting maid service? I don't understand. Is it a butler or? Who's
that politician had to send her maid back to Mexico because she was illegal? Dude,
I'm sure it was.
That happens
Mitt
in L.A.
Romney.
all
It
the
was
time.
probably Mitt Romney. Did
you know he killed a man? He killed his wife.
Ted Kennedy.
No, Mitt Romney.
No.
He killed him. Cancer.
Oh, yeah, of course. That's murder in the first degree.
Well, he let the guy's wife die of cancer or something.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
So Hilary stores all her emails, her personal emails, using a personal email account on her server. And she said, don't worry, I've got them all. Even when she was doing high security clearance government work, she was using them. She never, ever, at one point in time, ever had a government email address like Brian at sos.gov.
IRS.gov.
Right.
Right. Like an actual, like if there's a department, like it could be the Department of Education.
Well, Secretary of State is sos.gov.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah.
I was thinking, okay, so there you go. That's a perfect example. So they would have, the department would have a whole building full of servers, and that would be their thing. And so all of the employees of the department, or the Secretary of Defense, would have those sos.gov email addresses. All the different websites would be associated with that. And so there would be a centralized server data bank, I guess, of all that stuff.
And our friend and yours as well, who works for the government, he has an email address that's MIL for military.
Okay.
.mil.
Right. Okay. Mm-hmm. So this is my first reaction.
Okay.
Because you haven't said anything yet.
Right. Go ahead.
My first reaction is, oh, I see what she's doing. She wants all personal access. She does not want any third parties, whether in the military or out, touching anything that she does electronically. She wants full control of all that. That's my interpretation of why she would be doing that.
Right. Well, they've been the Freedom of Information Act is their end point for us to obtain this type of information. If they need to, whether it be Congress, they need to view these things. If you can remember back during the Benghazi, Christopher Stevens, ambassador, raped, pillaged, and killed.
The one that the media is trying to bury for the past 2 years.
Yeah. He was raped.
Yeah, we knew that.
And murdered?
Yeah, you're the one that told me that.
Not too many people talk about that.
Oh, I was...
That's a tough one.
It made my blood boil when you were describing the what he went through. So,
just emotional. So the president, Tom Fitton, president of Judicial Watch, has been able to obtain a lot of this information in regards to these emails, in particularly during Benghazi.
Interesting. Okay.
So Hilary said, "Oh, don't worry. I promise I've saved everything. And late this week, she said, I'll turn it all over to you. Don't worry."
Make sure I get enough time to go through it all.
Well, she's had a couple of years. I mean, we're talking 2012, September 2012.
Right. She's going to make sure. And you know what else she can do? You know how when you erase something, it's not really erased. The only way something is truly... let me walk through it really simply. And I'm no computer science major or anything like that, but I do know a lot about computers. When you tell a storage, it could be any kind of storage, it could be solid state storage or anything like that, anything that stores your data on your computer, hard drive if you will. When you save something to it, the zeros and ones that are used to save that are there.
Tactically, it's never really... Well, go ahead.
I'll go on to that. So when you tell it to delete it, What you're actually telling the computer to do is that it's safe for you to overwrite that if you want. But it doesn't do anything. It doesn't do anything with the X's and O's.
So the delete button really has us fooled.
Yeah, all the X's and O's are still there.
And unless
the ones and zeros. I said X's and O's. The ones and zeros are all still there.
Not Monday Night Football.
The only time they're all completely 100% erased is if by chance your computer did actually store new information on top of that old information. But that doesn't mean it's all gone. That just means that whatever has been overwritten is gone.
I think you're wrong because Lois Lerner said all her emails were gone when her hard drive crashed.
That's
her BlackBerry was stolen and destroyed.
Only a Democrat who really truly believes.
Dude, I am dumbfounded. I am at an absolute loss that they didn't have an operative to give them more information on what to say.
Well, no. Here's what I think. Oh, no. Okay, first of all, never overestimate the ability of them to articulate the most technically correct answer.
Okay.
And there's several reasons for that. Number one, and this is the cop-out easy excuse why. Number one, they're really not that smart.
Right.
I mean, have you heard about Obama's birth certificate, the one he technically, quote-unquote, released, the real one?
I heard there's something wrong with it.
Well, it's been completely riddled with changes using Photoshop. And Photoshop experts were like, oh my God, this isn't even a decent attempt.
Because if you've ever seen where they'll put a head, like a man's head on a female's body, but make it look really, really good, or somebody's head. Oh, Danica Kirkpatrick, they put her head on a big, giant muscle body for the Super Bowl.
No, she actually was dressed in a muscle
suit.
The muscle suit.
Right.
So that wasn't Photoshopped.
I thought it was Photoshopped at first. I couldn't believe it. It looked really real.
You mean it looked really Photoshopped?
Right.
So anyway, no, like I'll give you an example. On the Photoshopping of his birth certificate, there's a certain amount of pixels per square inch on pickles.
There's a certain amount of pickles.
There's a lot of pickles
everywhere.
Yeah, they're yummy. But anyway, there's a certain amount of pixels per square inch on any given document.
Right.
When you Photoshop it, the actual part that you Photoshopped may have a different amount of pixels per inch than the rest of the document.
Okay.
So if you're a really good Photoshopper, you'll make sure that the amount of pixels per square inch on the alteration matches the original.
Right.
They didn't even do that.
Oh, geez.
And so the experts went in and they zoomed in really close and they were like, this has been Photoshopped. Another thing, here's another example. You know how on a typewriter, every single time you hit a letter, there's going to be some minor changes.
Hold on. You said on a what?
On a typewriter.
What, you mean like a word processor?
You mean a inkjet printer? No. On the one that goes ting.
So back in the day, folks, taking us back to the 50s.
Well, they were all the way up to the mid 80s, probably. Okay. So anyway, even if you hit the exact same letter over and over and over again,
there'll be a slight variation.
Yeah, because it's a hammer that gets put, the ink gets put on it, or maybe a ribbon with ink on it, and it smashes that thing onto the paper. And every time it could be slightly different, or there could be a little splash of ink going one way.
Well, back in the day, they had experts that were able to decipher certain texts and link that back to specific typewriters. You know, forensic files type stuff.
Let's say there's an error, like a piece of extra metal on your E. Every time you hit the E, you'll see a little blotch or something from the E that's outside of the E. And a forensic scientist could say, oh, that came from this typewriter. Look at the errors on these letters. But anyway, every single letter is slightly different. Well, the original birth certificate was from the 60s. So it was done with one of those...
jeez. They didn't have Photoshop back then?
No. Well, this is kind of we're getting pretty high level here. But what happened was, in order to match the font, they cut out letters from other areas of the thing and repasted it so that they could write what they wanted it to say.
Oh, wow.
The problem is the letters were pixel by pixel identical, and that just wouldn't be.
Couldn't physically be possible.
It would be almost,
an anomaly.
Yeah, it would be impossible. I would say statistically,
you would buy a lottery ticket,
right? Because if you look at a PDF of an old typewriter, like all the letters will have slight pixel variations all the way throughout the document. So they found that, and then they found out that the font was like Times News Roman from word processor, and just all kinds of dumb stuff like that. Yeah. So, but anyway,
wow. Well, the problem with these emails is that they needed, first and foremost, they needed to be secure. Secure communications.
Are you talking about Hilary's?
Yeah, with Hilary.
Well, I was getting back to Lois Lerner.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't want to pass her up. The whole point of that was you don't want to overestimate the stupidity of the people who are coming out with this information, where they told Lois Lerner, "Oh, just tell them that the computer fried."
I can't wrap my head around that.
That's a cop-out, though, to say that they're stupid.
Okay.
That's the easy one. Oh, they're stupid. That's
maybe because when they pull up their computer screen, they have their email on their
screen.
On their screen, but the email's on their desktop.
Is it kind of like that guy that couldn't get the printer to work, so in order to print out what was on his screen, and he had the old CRT, the giant box,
the glass,
yes,
solid glass screen,
the big cubic, and it was probably like a 20-inch monitor.
It weighed like 200 pounds.
But he got so mad that he couldn't print that he grabbed his monitor, and he picked it up, and he yanked it and started walking over to the copier. And he took the monitor and went smash face down on top of the copier and hit copy.
Oh, dude.
Of course, the wire had been yanked out. The monitor was gone.
Oh, wow.
So that's a Democrat at work. No, but the other excuse for why they do this is because they know their constituency is made up of two people, two types, two groups. Number one, people who are just too stupid.
Right.
And the other group, they may not be stupid, but we call them low information voters.
Right.
Which means they know that even if they're smart enough to figure it out, they're not going to bother with looking it up and doing research. I'm using air quotes when I say research because these low information voters, that's why they're low information voters. They don't look up anything for themselves. They hear a sound bite and they're like, oh, it's the gospel.
They trust. Yeah, they trust that what they're hearing is right.
It feels right.
Right. It definitely feels
Human
good.
beings shouldn't kill another human being. There's something criminal. It's got to be put in jail, right?
Right.
You killed somebody.
Oh, yeah.
When you kill somebody, if you don't go to jail for that,
actions have consequences.
There's a huge, and they believe that, even though they don't realize that the cop was he was actually following the law.
Oh.
When he did what they call a lawful kill. I don't know if they call it that, but legal
kill.
Well, I mean, it's there are certain laws that they have to follow before they can engage in a deadly act, and if you follow those correctly, then if what you do ends up in the death of a person, you don't go to jail.
Right.
And that's the whole point. But anyway, so Lois Lerner. Now, back to Hilary.
So the whole point of, and don't think that we're taking this out of context because because there's a lot of people on the left who are blowing this out. Oh, you're just like Elijah Cummings, and I'm not joking about his last name. It is Cummings. He is completely beside himself, screaming and yelling. He said, if she weren't white, it would be racist. I did not want to believe it, but everything I've seen so far has led me to believe that this is an effort to go after Hillary Clinton, period.
Wait a minute. So Elijah Cummings, I'm trying to figure why did he say that? What was he saying that in response to? The exposed
that this is becoming another scandal, if you will.
So
this is starting to blow up in her face because, and we'll get into it, she may have broken many, many laws that could land her in jail.
So, if this were a video game where you had to bludgeon somebody to death,
right?
The most effective weapon in your arsenal, if you were a progressive, is the battering ram called throwing out the word racist.
Oh yeah, instantly.
So,
but he can't throw out racist because she's white. So he
has to
says,
say, if she weren't white,
if she was black,
this would be racism.
What? This is an elected
You know what he's doing?
official. This is a congressman, an elected official in Washington, D.C.
And this is, you know what? We get what we deserve.
Right?
You guys, you low information idiots, go out there and vote for racists like this. That's why there's so much racism in America, because it's pretty complicated and there's a lot of dynamics to it. But when for some reason in DC, it's all about who can outmaneuver somebody else with regards to being able to label somebody a racist.
Right.
And so what he did here was he kind of blew his wad a little bit. And his name is Cummings.
Right. Right. Hey, did you hear that that Obama was asked about when he learned about the emails?
Oh, no. What did he say?
At the same time, everybody else learned it through news reports.
Oh! He said it's getting old. Really? Are you even engaged? Are you conscious? That's what I would say to him. Are you even conscious?
I got to clear my throat.
Are you even alive?
I heard about this just like you did through news reports.
It was a good thing we don't ever get attacked by the Ruskies.
Ruskies.
I mean,
he should be listening to Smith Radio for all his information. All the breaking news.
You know what he would say if he did listen to us? He would say the same thing. Well, I heard about it when you guys did. Through the news report. Doesn't he have anybody in the White House that can maybe get him information before he has to hear about it on the radio?
You would think.
Or read about it or listen to it on Fox News or...
Right. Well, here's the whole crux of it all. I've got a sound clip from Gretchen. She's on Fox News, and she was talking with Catherine Herridge, who, if you can remember, she's she's probably in her mid-50s, and she's got real short hair. But she's a former military, real high up, real serious, and it's very, very credible. So Gretchen asks her about what's going on. Have you uncovered? And then as she's talking, she'll also puts in a soundbite of Tom Fitton, the president of Judicial Watch, that kind of wraps her whole story up together. But this is the groundwork laying everything out about why this is a problem.
Well, Gretchen, these emails obtained through a federal lawsuit show that Philippe Reines, widely described as the former Secretary of State's principal gatekeeper, and Cheryl Mills, who has been at Clinton's side for decades, were running interference during the 2012 attack. And while receiving updates in real time, Mills told the State Department spokeswoman to stop answering reporter questions about the status of Ambassador Chris Stevens, who was missing and later found dead. And close to midnight, Mrs. Clinton put out the first authoritative statement that wrongly blamed a protest sparked by an obscure YouTube video rather than terrorism.
Cheryl Mills was instrumental in making sure the big lie was put out there. What's notable thus far is that we received no emails from or to Mrs. Clinton. And you have to wonder whether these aides went offline and were using these secret accounts to communicate with her about the Benghazi attack.
Also littered through the State Department emails obtained by Judicial Watch through their federal lawsuit are references to something called the Benghazi Group, and a diplomatic source tells Fox News that that was code for the Cheryl Mills task force, whose job it was to do damage control.
They knew about Benghazi as it was happening, and she knew, and she also knew, it's starting to come out, that it was that the attacks originated with wealthy Sunni Islamists in Saudi Arabia. She knew these things.
Well, we all know why they decided to completely squash this thing, because this was going to be the terrorist attack that was going to cause Obama to be defeated in the 2012 election.
Right. If they didn't lie, cheat, steal by hook or by crook, there's no way he would have been elected.
Yeah, but I don't really care one way or another. I mean, hell, look what happened to Bush when 9/11 happened. He became extremely popular. He couldn't have been any less popular before that because of the 2000 election debacle.
Well, but so you're saying that Benghazi
he could have
helped?
been a rallying point for. Did Hurricane Sandy help? Yeah,
the hug heard around the world.
Yes, Hurricane Sandy really, really helped him. And if
Benghazi were to come out as what it was at the time that it happened,
if he had responded to it, and I mean by he, I mean Hilary Clinton, because that was her job. No, I'm not calling her a he. No, I'm talking about Obama. Okay, that didn't come out right. Sorry, folks, for that. We need to.
Dude,
we'll be back after these.
Somebody is fiercely going around the internet, bringing it back up again. Michelle Obama's a man.
Well, we're getting off on that tangent. If you look up, if you
just
Google,
put Michelle Obama and man,
and
just,
then click on images.
Oh, be forewarned.
This is not.
No
family.
children should be present.
No
at
family-friendly.
Under 21 years.
It's not nude or anything, but it's shocking. It's shocking.
Because it's true.
Oh, whatever.
It's not Photoshopped.
It's no Photoshop there.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, before I lose my place, so Obama is supposed to respond to those things, but through Hilary. She's the Secretary of State, so
right.
She needs to respond to these. She must have made a miscalculated calculation,
right?
That maybe we can just bury this, and we'll act like it didn't happen, and we'll call our propagandists in MSNBC, CNN, and everywhere else,
right?
And just tell them, hey, this didn't happen. There's nothing to see here. That kind of thing. And we'll just get by the election and we'll be good. What she should have done was come right out in public and say, well, first thing she should have done was not call a stand down and go in there and kick some freaking butt.
Oh, dude.
And possibly save some people. Save Americans.
Right.
And after saving Americans, oh, you know what? I figured it out. I just realized this. It was too late. Even if she saved them all, it would have come out that she was warned ahead of time that she should have got. They were begging for reinforcements, and they didn't do it.
Not only were they begging for it, but they had
months. We're not talking about when the attack happened.
Right. But prior to the attack,
at least a month prior to, they said something's coming down. We need help, and they ignored them.
Right.
And we think they ignored him because they needed to kill Stevens. They wanted him dead.
I think he knew too much.
Yeah, weren't we reporting on that?
Yeah, no, absolutely. This is when
the conspiracy is that.
Well, it's not a conspiracy, actually.
That's a fact.
There's a lot of fact to back it up that there was gun running, military weapons, and now some of the emails that have been uncovered, they quote individuals with sensitivity access provided by French security services, indicating the funding for both the Benghazi and Algeria attacks.
Okay, so
there was money going to Islamist extremists from America, whether it be in the form of guns, weapons, military stuff, or even cash, and it was all going through Chris Stevens.
So the question becomes, why'd they want him dead?
I think if he was put on the stand, he might talk. I don't know.
Well, I mean, was there a threat? There may be something that is completely unbeknownst to us.
On the back end.
Yeah, there may have been some closed door stuff that we'll never know, or we we didn't see coming. Nobody saw coming.
Right.
But Hilary was worried about it and said, we need to make sure something happens.
Right.
That's why they had the YouTube video ready to go. That was going to be their scapegoat. Do you know what are the odds that...
Dude, nope. We talked about this last week. I never saw the YouTube video.
Nobody
and
did.
You said...
It had less than 300 views.
Well, you said you saw it, but you didn't. You thought it was a parody.
I thought somebody made a parody of the video. Come to find out, it was the actual original video. Now, they took the original upload off. But a lot of people, you know how the internet works. They were like, "Oh no!"
Once it hits the internet, it don't. It's
right. So somebody downloaded it prior to it being permanently removed to the censors in the First Amendment Department of the American Constitution. So they removed that. But then, of course, all the whistleblowers were like, "Well, no, we got it. We're going to go ahead and put it back up." And they splashed it all over the internet. So anyway, so I saw it, and I was just like, "This really?" So. You have this video. Did they know about this video? I mean, was there some sort of meeting where Hilary's in there and like, what are we going to do? We got this terrorist attack coming. Stevens is going to be dead. How are we going to explain this? Let's come back in a week and somebody have an answer. And a week later, somebody's like, I found this internet video. No, I think that internet video might have been
planted.
It may have been somehow, it may have been on the like in the arsenal.
Kind of like Obamacare. It's always been on the back shelf.
Yeah. If you look at how thick the Obamacare law is,
it took decades to write.
Oh yeah, that thing probably started back in the 30s or 20s.
Yes. Woodrow Wilson
back in the teens. Mm-hmm. Probably said, universal health care, started writing something, and over the decades, more has been added, and then maybe it probably been reviewed several times.
And they're saying Woodrow Wilson is the father, the start of the progressive era.
Oh yeah, you mean the communist takeover America?
Right.
That's what it is.
Right.
When you hear progressive era,
yeah,
that is when the communists started to take over America.
Take your stuff for them, and they'll tell you what you need to have.
Well, they want to replace the freedom of the Bill of Rights and the free market capitalism of America in general. Replace it with an oppressive dictatorship under communist rule, basically.
Right.
Is just a communist country where all means of production are done by and owned by the centralized government,
right,
including the propagandizing of our children through the Department of Education.
Oh,
that is not tinfoil hat stuff either.
No, it's not. And not to get off track.
Are you kidding me? Whoa.
Michelle Obama addressing a high school graduate class of Topeka, Kansas, said, "Our laws may no longer separate us based on our color of our skin. But nothing in the Constitution says we have to eat together in the lunchroom or live together in the same neighborhoods." She started going off on this rant. She said, you need to, she stated her wacky plan, telling the students they should drag her generation and your grandparents along with you down the path of racial tolerance.
That was her response to it?
That's what she was saying. Her whole talk to these kids were, tell on your parents and your grandparents to the school if they're racist. If you're at Thanksgiving and Grandpa tells a racist joke.
Well, no, my question is, that sounds the opposite of how you started. You started by saying that she said nobody says... Are you saying that she's encouraging laws to be written to force us to eat at the lunchroom together and
well, she's saying that
live in the same neighborhood?
That although that
so she's critical of the law or lack thereof. That's the thing about freedom. Freedom is the lack of pointless laws.
Well, she's saying that the laws no longer separate us based on our skin color. So the laws in the past, she's claiming, did in certain areas. However, she's saying the Constitution doesn't amend the law by telling you got to eat with black people in the lunchroom.
And black people must eat with white people.
In the lunchroom. And you must live next to a black person every other person.
Meanwhile, we have educators telling us that we can't let a black kid be introduced to the art world by a white guy.
He wouldn't understand.
Yeah, you can't do that.
So going back to Hilary, check this out. In 2007, when she was running for, it was candidate Hilary, and she was actually running against Bush, but Bush wasn't. At the end of Bush's term, she was running against Obama, but you know how that would end. It was Bush's fault. So here's a sound clip that's directly related to the email scandal of Hilary in 2007.
We know about the secret wiretaps. We know about the secret military tribunals, the secret White House email accounts. It is a stunning record of secrecy and corruption.
You know what that's called, folks? And we say it almost every single episode, and we will continue to educate you guys in the subject of psychology.
Right.
That is a perfect example of projection. And just to brush
on
up,
a grandiose scale.
Oh, it's blatant. So projection, for those of you that don't know, or maybe this is the first time you listen, is when you accuse other people of doing things because either A, you're doing them now, or if you were in their shoes, you know you would.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
they must be, is what you're thinking. And I got introduced to the subject of projection through a friend of mine who is a female.
Okay.
Could be male, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
But her boyfriend, she was going out with some guy. It was a serious relationship. At some point, she decided, you know what? I feel like cheating on him.
Fair enough.
And so she started cheating on him. And she noticed, and she didn't know this was coming, but she's smart enough, very smart girl. She figured out what was going on with her. While she was cheating on him, she couldn't help herself but to all of a suddenly be accusing him nonstop of, well, where were you last night?
Right.
Wait, how come you were gone for 2 hours?
Right.
Where were you?
Right.
You know, you're supposed to be home at 4, and it is 4:15. Where were you? Really accusing him and wondering where he was and just always thinking he's cheating. Never before she was cheating on him did she ever have those feelings.
Because she started to think, well, if I could do it, he could do it.
He must be doing it.
He has to be doing it.
Yeah, that's the whole thing with projection. But while she wasn't doing it, it just never occurred to her. So,
well, to wrap up the email gate, if you will, I've got a clip of Megyn Kelly having a conversation with Judge Napolitano.
Ooh, I like him.
And this is where they talk about the legal aspect of what is to come. It's a little over a minute, but it's really...
Oh, he's a good guy. I like Napolitano. He's a judge who is very libertarian, conservative libertarian. Not the liberal...
No.
There's no such thing as a liberal libertarian. They're conservative.
Right.
They're all about freedom.
Mentioned we're hearing serious questions now about whether Mrs. Clinton may have committed a felony by conducting all of her official government business on a private email account. It's not just the private email. You can have private email. It's what you do with the email thereafter that becomes the problem. You see, federal law makes it a crime punishable to up to 3 years in prison if someone has records and, quote, willfully and unlawfully conceals or destroys such records. Did she conceal those records for years when those 7 committees were demanding to see her personal correspondence, her professional correspondence? Moments before we came to air, I spoke to Fox News senior judicial analyst Judge Andrew Napolitano. So is she in trouble legally?
She's in a lot of trouble legally, and there's 2 sources of her trouble. One is if she retained on her personal email account using the Clinton server at her home or near her home in Chappaqua, New York, classified materials, classified documents, she arguably violated the same statute that General Petraeus has agreed that he will plead guilty to, which prohibits retaining classified information in a non-government, non-secured way. That's a misdemeanor. It's not a felony. There's no grand jury. There's no trial jury. But the punishment is up to a year in jail and a $100,000 fine for each document.
Does it have to be a willful thing? She's going to say, I did it all my information was there. I didn't do that willfully. I wasn't willfully flouting the law.
Well, she doesn't have to willfully flout the law, but she has to willfully retain the document.
So, $100,000 per document.
And each document, it could be hundreds.
Hundreds. Could you imagine if you had 1,000 documents?
That'd be
at $100,000 a piece.
That'd be like a $10 million fine or something like that. Well, if you had 1,000 documents and it's up to a year per document in prison, it's 1,000 years in prison.
Well, yeah.
And I'll tell you what, the world would be a better place.
Oh, if you took her and that whole Clinton-esque, everything having to do with how dirty and disgusting that whole regime ever was.
Let's be honest here. I mean, this is the God's honest truth. Justice isn't really done until she gets dropped with a parachute or whatever in the middle of Benghazi. Right?
Yes.
I mean, that's justice right there.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%.
And telling her, no, this is it. You drop her and you tell her, we're going to bring the military in here right now, and we're going to get you out of here. We're getting you out of here.
Okay.
And then never come.
They never show
Never show up. That would be when justice happens.
Oh, what a beautiful thing.
But anyway.
So check this out. This week, on Thursday, marks the 50th anniversary of Bloody Sunday.
Oh, good old Selma, right?
Civil Rights March in Selma, Alabama. Saturday, telling Obama on Saturday was telling those assembled. He was assembled on Edmund Petrus Bridge, which ironically is the bridge that the voters, black voters, in the article they talked about majority black voters. There were white voters too.
Yeah, there were white people there.
And so they were marching across the bridge to go to the capital of Alabama in order to protest the fact that they couldn't vote, or they weren't allowed to vote. They were met on that bridge, shot and beaten and tear gassed, and it was a nasty event, obviously. And the name of the bridge, the Edmund Petrus Bridge, is named after a Confederate general who was also a KKK Grand Red Hat wearing wizard.
Okay.
Kind of a little bit of twist of irony there.
Well, I mean, it's probably, they probably think it's great if they know, if they're trying to push their agenda like they are.
Right.
Then that's perfect. They want it to be named after a grand wizard. That way they can go down there every single year and say racism is alive and well.
They said they had 1,000 people petitioning to change the name of the bridge once the students found out who the bridge was named after.
You know, I don't blame
Doesn't
them.
bother me whatsoever.
I don't blame them.
Go ahead,
Yeah.
change it.
Yeah, I don't blame
Change it
them
to
at
the
all.
Rainbow Harbor for all I care. Oh, that's already taken in Long Beach, California.
You missed out on
The
that.
Rainbow Harbor. So Obama gave a speech, and he is saying our march is not yet finished.
It never will be, by the way. Just FYI.
Just let you know.
It's not going to be finished. It never will be. In fact, if it even comes close to being finished, they failed because they want racism to be right on the brink of all-out race riots and race war. They don't want to go that far. They won't. They'll make sure that they keep it. But they're going to dance on that edge, and they are going to instigate, and it'll be like that. And whenever it spills over, like it did during the Ferguson debacle, and people get killed in retaliation.
Right.
Those people, and by those people I mean the media and all the race agitators like Obama and all of his Eichmann.
Yes.
They have blood on their hands. Period. They have lots of blood on their hand, and there'll be more. and they will be indirectly responsible for deaths of people because of what this game that they're playing, this race baiting game that they're playing. And it's sickening. I'm just getting sick and tired of it. I was talking to somebody the other day that was saying, there's racism in America. And I was like, yeah, but it's getting, first of all, it's been getting a lot better, but recently it's been getting worse.
Right.
And that's not a good thing. We need to have been continually getting better like we were in the 90s. He's like, no, it's been this bad, and it's been worse, way
that's
worse.
Insanity. That's just absolute insanity.
So I was trying to figure out how to convince him that there's got to be a better way than to sit here and demand to me that there's racism in America, white people are racist, black people are victims, and so finally I said, you know what? I choose to not even participate. I'm going to comment when people are not only participating, but encouraging more participation in racism.
Right.
I'm going to comment, and I'm going to try to address it as somebody who would want less of it, and try to encourage people not to participate. Hey, they're trying to get you to participate in racism. I'm telling you, please don't participate in it, or don't fall for it. Don't fall for their crap. They're trying to get you to participate in the sport of racism. And so I was telling this guy that I was talking to about this, I just choose not to participate in it. And you know what? If you wanted to help personally, it could be just a small little part, just doing your part. Every time somebody tries to race bait you, you just say to yourself or say out loud,
Sure.
I refuse to participate in that.
There you go.
And I said, if we start a movement where everybody will just stand up and say, I refuse to participate in that race baiting, the racism, and all the other crap where races are put into these groups and all this kind of stuff, just refuse to participate in it, that's when we'll see some fixing of the racial problems and divides in America.
Well, I thought something that was quite curious. 11 hours ago, Anton Bedato on the Tea Party Conservatives for Freedom, I think he was trolling. I really did.
Maybe. What group was
he
from? What group?
Tea Party Conservatives for Freedom.
Okay.
And so, I don't know where Anton gets this from or whatever, but he put up a picture of Michael Strahan in a very nice suit and tie with a comment at the top that says, I'm curious, why would a black person want to be a Republican? And the string is burning crosses and KKK and Malcolm X and
Nixon. No. Johnson.
Hillary's there. It's just on and on. Democrats boo inclusion of God. I mean, this thing, and this happened 11 hours ago, and I had to turn it off because I was being blown up by it.
Well, my question is, overall, and you got to see it from a really wide angle because there's a lot of responses. Does it look like they're more for blacks wanting to be Republican or more against it?
A lot of people I saw were preaching, Republicans want freedom for blacks, and then like this one right here, Democrat Party working to enslave America since 1861.
Yeah, pretty much. Actually, maybe before 1861.
Talking about the Democrats created Ku Klux Klan, fought to defend slavery, opposed segregation of the United States military, violently suppressed the civil rights movement.
And the thing
Martin Luther King Jr. was a Republican, and a girl today on Facebook, wow, it flipped. Back in the day, Republicans were Democrats, and Democrats were Republicans, and it flipped.
Yeah.
Ideas have changed hands. And certain parties agreed with certain ideologies, and other parties agreed with different ideologies. However, there is one absolute fact the fact that Republicans have always held the notion that the Constitution, the founding of the country, all the things that we preach here on this radio show, the basics are all the same. They're the ones who were Christians trying to free black enslaved men in the South.
Well, I can even clear it up even more, make it more simple. The simplest way I could say it is, if you look at the position of Republicans and the Republican Party from its founding with Abraham Lincoln all the way up through the civil rights era of the 40s, 50s, 60s, all that whole time from Abraham Lincoln all the way up to today, the Republican Party has always been on the side of moral righteousness, and the Democratic side, or Democrat Party, has always been on the side of moral bankruptcy.
Right. Well, and to prove the point, this was posted up about Margaret Sanger, who founded Planned Parenthood on October 16, 1916. So we're going back to the early 1900s in order to eliminate what she thought were inferior races like Orientals. Wow, that's an old word. Jews, blacks. She referred to them as human weeds.
Oh my goodness!
And this was Democrat.
This
was
Adolf
Democrat.
Hitler.
Yes,
that's Adolf Hitler stuff there.
She's part of that part and parcel of that party. So let's fast forward to Selma to this week, and Congressman John Lewis. Before I get into it, Obama went hand in hand and made the walk through Selma to the bridge as it was back in the day. And as they're talking about this, they're getting ready to do an interview on Obama, and I've got sound clips and questions on the interview. So the commentator's talking about the interview and yada yada and who's there, and also included in the march was George H. Bush.
Okay.
I said, what? Well, where was he? I looked through all the footage. I couldn't see him. I couldn't find him.
Okay.
You would think if a former president was with another president in a march for equality and freedom, and one president was white and one president was black, you would get them two together.
Well, what happens is the Democrat
machine
media propaganda complex.
Okay.
They're very savvy, and they're like, we got to make sure that there's never a message to black people that Republicans in any way, shape, or form, past or present, would ever support this or anything. By the way, Martin Luther King was Republican, and if I were going to respond to that Facebook post, I would say, why would a black person want to be a Republican? Well, maybe they want to be like Martin Luther King and be a Republican.
There you go.
That's what I would say. But anyway, no. So the propagandists, just as important to spewing a fire hose of lies onto the public,
right,
at all times, it's also just as important for propagandists like the Democrats and the mass media, mainstream media, to withhold important facts too.
Right. Absolutely.
And one fact is that Republicans support what happened in Selma, and that maybe George H.W. Bush wants to go there and commemorate the 50th anniversary.
When you say they support what happened in Selma, you mean they support
the civil rights movement.
Right.
No, they support the march.
Right, absolutely.
The march.
Yeah.
That's what happened in Selma. I mean, they don't. Yeah, there's more than what happened in the march. Yeah. So
anyway, Congressman John Lewis.
Glad you corrected me, by the way, because that
when it came off, I'm like, oh, I don't want people to get the wrong thought.
If Kerry ever runs for president, they're going to use this soundbite against him.
Boy, that and everything else.
That's fine. Whatever. This is going to be my stump speech, by the way.
I'm going to run on the Democrat Party ticket, so I'll be good to go.
That's right. I will fit right in.
Yes.
There we go.
So Congressman John Lewis, who is black, was there in Selma back in the day when it went down.
Right.
When it went bad. Mm-hmm. And he was asked, I don't know by who, but he was asked to introduce Obama to come up and talk at the podium on the bridge of the KKK name about Selma. This was his introduction to Obama.
If someone had told me when we were crossing this bridge that one day I would be back here introducing the first African-American president, I would have said, you're crazy, you're out of your mind, you don't know what you're talking about. President Barack Obama!
I could.
It's kind of an odd introduction. But, I mean, I see what he's saying, and I would have articulated that a little bit better, but he got it out.
Yeah, but what I find interesting is that he said African-American.
I'm not sure.
President.
He had to decide how to describe Barack Obama. Was he the first black president? The first half black president? Is he the first African American president? And it is pretty. It's pretty much universal, from what I've seen. From what I've talked to black people, they don't like that phrase. Period.
No. I think it conjures up and it creates. It helps to continue the divide.
Well, it's important to get blacks to hate America and everything it's been founded on. And when you call somebody an African American, you're setting them aside from America. You're like, there's America, there's Americans,
right,
and then there's African Americans. And so it's like they're trying to say, well, you're only half American.
And that goes against everything America's all been about, this melting pot of cultures. When you continually segregate people into different cultures and different sections, I think it perpetuates the notion of we're not all one American because you're calling yourself African first, then American.
Well, yeah, and
an American with African descent.
Yeah, let me point this out. When we have immigrants come over, like the Germans or when the Irish came over, when they came here, they said those guys are Irish.
Right.
And if they ever became citizens, which a vast majority of them did, then they would still probably call them Irish people or Irishmen or whatever. And same thing with the Germans. Oh, it's a kraut or whatever. But here's the thing. They go on to have children, and their children don't have the accent. A lot of them lose the native language of their parents' home country, and nobody would even know one way or another whether they were German or Irish or whatever, other than the red hair.
And the fact that they eat a lot of potatoes and drink Irish whiskey, and
they're all falling over drunk, even at 5 years old.
Right, and they stand a mere 3'5".
Right, and they
wear green clothes all the time.
They eat Lucky Charms constantly. So, now here's the thing: those people eventually don't be called Irish anymore unless they flaunt it. Like, I'm Irish, give me my beer.
Well, everybody's Irish one day out of the year.
Right. When it comes to, quote, African Americans, as long as you got black skin, you're going to be African American, not just your whole life, but your children, your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren for the rest of the time. And so that's why I personally hate that label. And I know they might not say that's why they hate the label, but I'm sure that if you were to hear most people's explanation, it would kind of dance around that same theme of, I'm just American.
Well, we have a good friend, another friend, her best friend is from Chicago. Her family, I believe her mom and dad were white and black, which makes her kind of light-skinned. But very beautiful, of course. I mean, it's just a really nice, awesome person. Had nothing to do with her skin, but that's what her culture is.
But she does have nice skin, though.
She does.
It's not like she's covered in acne or anything like that.
It's unbelievable, the stuff that she uses. Her husband is white, and they have children, and their children are very, very fair-skinned.
Right.
Like her one daughter, I believe, her hair color is really super light.
Well, it's not blonde, but it's brownish. Yeah,
right.
Kind of light brown.
So would you refer to someone like that? Would you, oh, hey, African-American person?
Well, we got Barack Obama's only half black. and we're talking about him like there is not a single
Drop.
molecule of white DNA in him whatsoever.
So you want to hear how Obama described America in his speech?
I guarantee you I won't be surprised. It'll just probably get my blood boiling, but let's hear it.
If your dad is listening, please tune out for the next 30 seconds.
Yeah, you might want to go get something to eat real quick.
Grab a meal.
Yeah.
Here's Obama in Selma.
In one afternoon, 50 years ago, so much of our turbulent history, the stain of slavery and anguish of civil war, the yoke of segregation and tyranny of Jim Crow, the death of 4 little girls in Birmingham, and the dream of a Baptist preacher, all that history met on this bridge. It was not a clash of armies, but a clash of wills. A contest to determine the true meaning of America. We gather here to honor the courage of ordinary Americans willing to endure billy clubs and the chastening rod, tear gas and the trampling hoof. Men and women who, despite the gush of blood and splintered bone, would stay true to their North Star and keep marching towards justice.
Was that not the most strange lines of it?
I don't know.
The chastening rod?
I never heard of a chastening rod.
Apparently.
Is it because I'm a racist? Or does that make me... I didn't know I was racist. Now that I don't know what a chastening rod is, I must be a racist.
Or the fact that you don't know what a chastening rod is. Are you playing stupid because you do and you've used one?
Am I being stupid? I don't know.
Are you playing me for a fool and knowing that you have a chastening rod in your pocket?
Oh, do you know what a chastening rod is?
Is that a chastening rod in your pocket? Or you have?
Oh, wow. Are you angry to see me?
Angry.
No, what is a chastening? Oh,
I gotta go to the Google.
He's going to the Google. Ah, we have any callers online? They're buzzing.
There's a chastening hammer, a chastening rope, chastening tool, chastening rod. I don't know. There's not really.
There's a chasing A-Rod. I'm chasing A-Rod. There's a bunch of pictures of A-Rod.
Chastening rod?
Maybe it's in the
like
Urban
a whip
Dictionary.
So the President of the United States is quoting...
Maybe you're not spelling it right. What's going on here?
It says chastening? Chastening hammer.
Why isn't this working?
Yeah, got no idea why you're doing that.
Yeah,
why you're doing that? Let me kick into full mode. So at this preparing for Selma, Obama was interviewed by. Let me get it here. Exclusive interview with CBS News senior White House correspondent.
Can I interrupt you real quick? The definition in wordnik.com of chastening rod is, sorry, no definitions found. Etymologies, sorry, no etymologies found. Related words, yeah, you're going to have to log in or sign up to add your own related words.
Oh, my goodness. Well, go to Urban.
Here we go. What does bitter chastening rod? I gotta go to Yahoo Answers,
okay.
which means I guarantee you somebody made this up. It's a correction or punishment or humiliation. The stick that slave owners beat the slaves was bitter and painful. So it's a
whip. It's
a rod
that
you use to.
It's a switch.
Yeah, it's a switch.
Like. Grandma would go out to...
I thought you were talking about to turn on the lights.
No. See, Grandma would tell me to go outside and go find her a switch.
And for those of you that don't live in the South, that's what a switch is. A switch is a branch that fell off of a tree.
Chastening rod. It's a switch. So, CBS News senior White House correspondent Bill Plant, who covered the civil rights marches back in 1965 He's a white guy, by the way. But he works for CBS, and he's part of the Democrat machine, so it's okay. And at the nearby museum, Voting Rights Museum, Mr. Obama spoke about Selma then and now. So first question from Bill Plant. Mr. Obama, how do you change the hearts and minds of people? And as a very interesting comment, he said,
Well, I tell you, I think Dr. King was asked about that sometime during the movement, and he said, well, I might not be able to immediately change somebody's heart and mind, but if I can prevent them from lynching me, that's important too. And what happens is when laws change, then attitudes begin to change. When I hear people say, oh, not much has changed, that's just not true. It's changed not just because we have an African-American president. It's changed in all kinds of people's daily interactions.
So he just called himself an African-American president.
What? What's going on here?
He just called himself an African-American president?
They all had a meeting. And I don't mean black people. I'm talking the Democrat Party.
I have never heard African-American thrown around like a rag doll so much.
All of a sudden. No. Back in the 90s, that was the accepted thing. The 90s, it was all about, we need to stop calling people black people, start calling them African-American. Right. And so it went on for years, and after a while, I think it just started to wear on people, and I think it was worse. I mean, I call a person black it's not just their skin color, it's like a culture.
So if I can change his mind from lynching me, that's a good thing. You really think Martin Luther King said that?
You know what that sounds like? That sounds like I have no freaking clue, and I'm not smart enough to come up with a real answer.
Right.
So I'm just going to throw out the obvious.
And he's thinking in his mind, Obama, I know you sent me all these questions 3 weeks ago.
I just don't have time for it.
I was on a golf course.
I'll wing it. That's what he was saying.
Because you know how community disorganizers do. We just wait.
He's on the golf course and like, President Obama, they gave you all these questions. Shouldn't you formulate some good answers? I got it. I skimmed over them. I think I got it. I think I know this.
So second question. Why is there such a disparity in the way blacks and whites see race relations? Is that what kind of question is that?
Why is there such a disparity between the way blacks and whites see race relations? Well, it's because the blacks are being taught lies about race relations, and whites
are dumbfounded that.
Well, whites have to just when it comes to race relations, they learn just by watching. Where blacks are taught all about the way everything is by the agitators in the Communist Party who are using blacks to try to get them to pull the lever for communism, period. And whites aren't subject to that. Whites would see, and there are people who don't know this is happening listening to me right now thinking, Kerry is nuts. This is happening. When you go to university and you stumble by, maybe even stick your head in one of the classes where they're teaching African American studies or
Native American studies,
whatever kind of studies, and you hear them the professors speaking to the class, and you're walking by it, you're like, what did he just say? They are teaching black people in universities, or anybody that takes those classes, but I walked by and I stuck my head in one of those classes before. It was a black professor, and it was probably only about maybe 11 and 12 students in there. Not a single one was white, and it was kind of odd, what kind of class is this, and why isn't a single white person in this class? And when you see that, and when you experience what I've experienced at university and all the other classes, even in high school and stuff like that, that's why I'm saying what I'm saying, which is that black people are taught these things specifically in a classroom setting where white people are learning about race relations through their own personal relations with other races and their observations. It could be their own personal, but it could be, hey, there's a white guy, there's a black guy, they're interacting, how's that going? And then what they see, they learn from.
Fair enough.
And comedians.
Okay, yeah, well, yeah.
No, seriously, I was on my way to out of town this weekend. And on the way up, I got a ride with a guy who was listening on his iHeartRadio or something, and he must have searched comedians. And it was a non-stop, it would be like maybe a 5-minute clip of a comedian set. And as soon as that was over, it would go right on to another comedian.
Wow.
Over and over. The whole way up to...
This is pretty good?
Well, they were all very racially pointed. All of course. Some of them I've heard before. And they're actually funny, but they're not really that true, not really that accurate. But, they talk about race relations. Like, black people, they can't talk to a cop the way white people do. White people say, let me see your badge. Let a black person try that. Let me see your badge. Oh, no, stop hitting me. That's the kind of comedy it was, and it's funny. And
right.
I mean, the difference is you got to own it. When you ask for a cop's badge number, you better own it.
You can't do it subtly. You got to do it with force. Well, here's Obama's take on race relations in America and this disparity between the two.
Blacks and whites, how they see race relations.
Well, there's been obviously a different experience of race relations in this country. The good news is that despite, I think, a lot of people saying that the country's divided around these issues, the truth is, in the aftermath of Ferguson and what happened in New York, you've seen a pretty constructive debate, a pretty constructive conversation.
Really?
First of all, he answered 2 questions in a row by saying something that I don't know. It's not getting through to a lot of low information voters, which is things are getting better, and you've seen constructive debates.
I don't know where.
By the way, things getting better in the very, very recent, if he's accurate, is still nowhere near where it was in the 90s.
Well, Kerry, leading up, after we're done with all these sound bites and this information, I've got a solution. Not the ultimate solution, or the final solution. Not the final solution. I've got the answer to what he's doing.
He's doing something.
He's attempting to do something.
I knew there was an ulterior motive. Because I'm like, wait a minute. He's saying what I would say, and I would actually go further and be more accurate by saying, first of all, race relations have gotten a hell of a lot better since 50 years ago with Selma, but just recently, thanks to the propagandists in the propaganda arm of the Democrat Party in mainstream media, things have gotten a lot worse because they're trying to agitate black people into getting angry at whites and white people to feel guilty for nothing.
Right. Well, the correspondent, Bill, asked him another question. Said, Mr. President Obama, in all our polls that we've done here at CBS, because we don't have anything else to do, there's a large number of whites and blacks that see voter ID as no problem, and they're good. They're good for it.
Wow, that's a good question.
It's tight.
Yes, I like it.
I was glad he asked that, and the answer is Barack-esque.
Okay.
Well, voter ID in and of itself is not the sole issue. The issue is, does the Justice Department have the tools through the Voting Rights Act to make sure that if a local jurisdiction is discriminating against a certain set of voters, black, Hispanic, white, Asian, that the Justice Department can actually get in there and fix it. And when it comes to voter ID, I think that the average person says to themselves, yeah, there's nothing wrong with a photo ID, until perhaps they get the information, which is not always provided, during polling, that in some jurisdictions, getting a voter ID might cost $75, $100, $150. If you are somebody who is a senior citizen on a fixed income and you're not driving anymore and you don't automatically have a driver's license, that may be hard.
First of all, why don't they just make a law? By the way, before I say what I'm about to say, Republicans have come out. These are lawmakers. Republican lawmakers have come out and already suggested this. And it's already been resoundingly and forcefully and instantly rejected by Democrats, which is this. Why don't we make it a federal law that these IDs are paid for using taxpayer money so that anybody can go and
if you need one, you don't have to pay a single dime.
For
you
free.
Go get one.
You get your ID. If you lose it, go get another one made. Maybe, I don't know, $1 penalty, whatever. I don't know. And by the way, it doesn't cost more than a couple bucks to make one of these.
Well, I mean, depending on how high tech and if it's got the hologram and it's got all these little things, it can be. But
$75, really?
He said $150.
That it's a cop out because I think it was Cruz. I'm just throwing a name out there, but
$50, $75, or even $150. Who pays $50 for an ID?
First of
his
all,
lowest number.
You get a metal plate for the back of your car for like $50.
Right. Well, he is clearly detached from reality, and I can understand why. When you fly in a 747 every morning and every night, coast to coast, and it costs $25,000 in fuel to go one way, and you do this 4 or 5 times a day, you're going to be a little detached from reality.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was Senator Cruz that came out and said, why don't we issue IDs to anybody who wants one and tell them you need this for multiple reasons, not just voting. But, I mean, what can you do in life without an ID? I mean, it's like the Democrats are going way out of their way. And this
they've dug their heels in so deep. And they're relentless. They're not letting go.
This has got to be, if I made a top 10 list, which Democrats love to do, of the most insane positions in politics without any explanation whatsoever, it's got to be the insistence that there's no vote. I mean, it's so obvious what they're trying to do.
Right.
This is an obvious attempt to steal elections. And the only thing I can think of why they're digging in so deep with their heels on this is that they've already been doing it for years. It's not like they're doing this because, hey, one day we might need to steal the election. And we want to keep our options open.
Right.
It wouldn't be that important to them.
No.
The only reason I can figure that they are so adamant on this is that this is a major portion of their voting, get out the vote strategy, which is to steal the elections.
Right. Well, because dead people can't have IDs.
And you need to be able to bus people to multiple polls very quickly.
Even over here in an area called College Hill, during the Romney-Obama race, the day of the election, there's a polling place with people standing out front with Obama signs. Okay. Which is, you can't do that.
Well, you can do it as long as you're outside of a certain radius.
Okay. And there were, like the van that you could rent to carpool to go to the airport.
Yeah.
The shuttles. Mm-hmm. Those were continually rotating through the polling place in large number. Like each van was numbered 1 to 1,000. And
right.
They were rolling through completely full of people.
Right, because they had to bring them in from out of state.
To overthrow the Cincinnati vote.
Right, and if you notice,
Hamilton County.
Yeah, Hamilton County did go towards Barack Obama, which is kind of odd.
I know why. I'm telling you, they had the bus shuttle.
Oh, right. You got to do that. And some people listening will be like, wait, they don't have transportation. They want to get to the poll and vote. You would take that right away from them. That may be true, but
What did you do? What did they
What does
do
that have-
200 years ago?
Okay, that's true. And hey, point taken, Brian. Very, very good point taken. They need to be able to walk to the poll, but let's just say they can't. Let's say they can't. What does that have anything to do with ID? If you want to use a bus, start busing them to the place that administers the ID.
Oh, there you
then
go.
We'll go.
Set it up.
Yeah.
Make it happen.
Get them all
ID,
IDs. Make sure
free ID.
And I will help you do it. I will help every Democrat to get a vote, to get an ID for voting for free. I will write to every single congressman and every single in D.C., every state. I'll do it all and say you must pass legislation to make sure that these IDs don't cost a dime.
Right.
In actual out-of-pocket costs, come out of the taxpayer,
I
make
bet,
a budget for
I
it.
promise you, average Joe taxpayer in America would love for this to pass, and they would be happy
I would
pay for it because
even if they said it's going to cost you a little bit extra
it
in
would
taxes.
squash the whole debate.
Yeah.
It would make it a level playing field.
Right.
To take a page from the Democrat book.
And getting back to projection, when you hear a lot of times some Democrats will tip their hand because they're not that bright, and they'll say, well, you're just trying to steal the election by not letting us vote. That's called projection. They're stealing it. They want to steal it. They know they're stealing it, or they're trying their hardest to steal it.
Right.
And so because they're doing that, they're projecting that fear of stealing onto everybody else.
This wasn't, I did not print this article off, but the Department of Justice is bringing charges up on Senator Menendez on the East Coast this week.
By the way, I saw
Democrat.
Let me tell you a little story. I was watching mainstream media.
Okay.
Because I use the antenna, the rabbit ears. So I get the mainstream media.
You know, anybody listening right now probably has no idea what that means, but that's okay.
Oh, we got some
older folks.
Some
seasoned veterans.
Seasoned, yes. So I have the rabbit ears, but they pick up a digital signal, so I have high definition, all the mainstream media. And they started talking about how much in trouble Menendez is in. And they were talking all about him. Not one single time did they hint in any way, shape, or form what party he's affiliated with. In any way,
because
shape,
they can't.
or form.
They can't.
But on the flip side, I was outraged. I was raising my voice, and you know, my wife was like, "Yeah, you got a point there." And so I grabbed my phone because I'm not up on top of all this stuff, and I said, "Search his name." Sure enough, scrolled down on the old wiki. He's a Democrat. So
no idea.
Absolutely.
Sound like Rush.
No idea.
Is that Rush? That's Rush acting like that's Rush's impersonation of our first African American president.
Yeah. So
clearly a racist, right?
Right. And so, you know, in the news for the past couple of weeks, we've been talking about Iran and their nuclear desire, and Benjamin Netanyahu coming to America and all this and all that. Well, Bill asked Obama, he said, hey, Iran nuclear deal? I know John Kerry, Secretary of State, is over in Switzerland working out a deal or something.
Maybe.
Okay. And a deal is imminent? What do you think? Is it? And this is what Obama's response was.
Yeah, I think it is fair to say that there's an urgency because we now have been negotiating for well over a year. And the good news is that during this period, Iran has abided by the terms of the agreement. We know what's happening on the ground in Iran. They have not advanced their nuclear program. So we're not losing anything through these talks. On the other hand, you get to a point in negotiations where it's not a matter of technical issues anymore, it's a matter of political will.
And you've said that if there's no deal, you're willing to walk away. That's it.
Absolutely. If there's no deal, then we walk away. If we cannot verify that they are not going to obtain a nuclear weapon, that there's a breakout period so that even if they cheated, we would be able to have enough time to take action, If we don't have that kind of deal, then we're not going to take
it. What is a breakout period? Is he playing basketball?
I used to play basketball. I never heard of a breakout period. What is that?
A breakout period?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Maybe it's a prison thing. I don't know.
Breakout period.
I don't know. What is
if we don't have a breakout period where we can verify if they're cheating? What? Cheating? Well, they're not going to let you know they're cheating.
Well, I think what he's saying, and I'll play devil's advocate.
Dude, what he's saying is he has no idea.
Right, he's lying.
Okay.
I mean, I knew he was lying when he said, we know they're not moving forward on
Did you hear all the...
yeah, right.
There was a lot.
Yeah, and the more he says that, you can actually count them. It's like when lightning strikes, you can count the number of seconds before the thunder. When Obama's speaking and you count the number of you can tell how big the lies are. Right?
Oh,
yeah.
Kind of like this.
Kind
of like that.
I was waiting for the drop the beat.
I'm not that good. I gotta find a beat for it.
It's practically songified already.
There is nothing doctored to that other than cutting and pasting his us.
Right. So that was clearly a whopper of a lie.
Anything that follows that, guaranteed.
As soon as he said, I know what's going on inside Iran.
He said on the ground.
On the ground. That's when I knew. You know what that is? That is a dog whistle.
Oh.
It's a dog whistle to all the, what we would call them, I guess, progressive. I'm not talking about low information voters. I'm talking about the angry Democrats and all that. That's a dog whistle to them to let them know that Bush was lying about weapons mass destruction because, as president, you do know.
Oh,
you know.
Yeah,
He's lying. He's lying.
Yeah.
He doesn't know what's going on in Iran. He just threw that out there. It's actually a double whammy. Number one, he wants to set all the idiots and supporters of him, and which is the same thing, a message that there's nothing to worry about with regards to Iran.
Okay.
But it's also a dog whistle that Bush did lie about Iraq because, as president, you do know what's on the ground. There's all these. It's like a video game. Video games today, I think, are just ruining the brains of kids. You ever heard of a third-person shooter?
Third-person shooter.
Well, first-person shooter is where you're playing a video game and the view is from the eyes of the combatant, if you will.
Right. So you don't see the body of the shooter. Your eyes are the whole screen. Right.
Yeah, you are looking as if you were that person.
Right.
A third-person shooter is where you're running around and you can see the person in front of you on the screen.
I like when I play the race car games.
Oh,
I like
right.
that view where I can see the car.
That's third
driving.
person.
Okay.
Yeah. So instead of being the driver, you're almost like this guy hovering with a camera behind the car,
controlling it from behind.
Right. Well, there's these kids who wake up in the morning and play first-person, third-person shooters, whatever.
What's a second-person shooter?
Well, first-person would be saying I. Third-person would be he.
Okay.
Like he did all this. That's
right.
Third-person. Second person would be you.
Okay.
So it'd be I would be watching a video game of you.
Oh.
So that would be second person.
Okay.
Anyway, so yeah, I don't know. That would be kind of weird. Yeah, first person is I. Second person is he or she.
Right. So you're saying
Second
that these kids wake up to play these third
and then they go to school, and I'll be damned, they play them at school. At school.
Wow.
I have. I was in a conversation with some high school kid who was like, "Yeah, teacher's just boring right now." It's like he's playing a game online in class.
Oh, you were playing with him?
Yeah, it was a game.
Oh, you were in his clan?
Oh, yeah, we were talking together.
All right.
He was in class.
Is he that same 9-year-old kid that bosses?
I don't know what
bosses my brother around and tells him to get his clan in
It may
line.
actually, in his defense, might have been a college student. I'm sure college students are just like, man, this lecture's boring. Bust out the old phone.
Right.
But anyway, but no, I do know that high school kids in some public schools probably have no problem whatsoever. But then at lunchtime, boom, bust out the iPad, iPod, whatever. And then after school, hours and hours on these games.
Okay, so
the thing is without thinking about it, their gut initial reaction, and if you're older, if you're a seasoned veteran like we are, this would seem hilarious, almost impossible to conceive. I think that when the President of the United States says we know what's going on the ground in Iraq,
oh, it's from a third-person shooter point of view.
There's just these hovering cameras all over the place. I see what's going on in my video game. I see what they're doing. I can follow right behind them. I think the gut instinct reaction without thinking about it is, well, that's plausible. Where people like us who grew up in the real world, not being in a virtual reality all day,
right,
know that that's impossible.
That's absolutely possible.
I mean, maybe there's an outside chance that the White House has access to some possibly live video from a satellite.
But they wouldn't use it because Obama doesn't want to make Iran mad.
Oh, yeah, you don't want to upset them.
He's been in talks with them for over a year.
So he's making progress.
That's what he said.
Oh.
Well, and there's something else that was kind of brought up that I thought was the wording was before I get too far ahead, I forgot.
We got to back up.
Republicans fast-tracked a bill giving Congress a vote on any nuclear agreement with Iran. So the bill that the Congress passed, sent to the Senate to ratify it, says that any negotiations, talks, or deals with Iran has to be cleared through Congress.
Oh, good.
So sent it to the Senate, and this week, all the Democrats stopped it.
How?
They voted it down.
Wait a minute, I thought that...
In the Senate. But Congress sent it to the Senate.
But don't we have a majority in the Senate?
No. We don't have a nuclear majority. We don't have the all-telling, all-knowing. You have to have a super majority. We don't have that.
You do? I thought it was to pass the bill. It's just 50%.
Well, they're saying that the Senate Democrats have delayed. Well, they've delayed the bill.
Oh, they could delay it. Yeah.
Right. So that's probably what's happening right now. They're delaying it right now so that Obama can get the deal done before the bill gets through. Anyways, so the next question I thought was kind of interesting, the way Bill worded it to Obama. He said, Iran and Iraq are teaming up together to fight the Islamic State near Tikrit, to take back Tikrit in Iraq. And the U.S. is on the sidelines. You comfortable with that? He called it the Islamic State. He didn't call it ISIS. ISIL. He called it, he said Islamic State. So here's Obama's reaction to that.
Well, I don't think that the U.S. is sitting on the sidelines. We've got a lot of stuff going on in Iraq. What we've been very clear about is that our top priority is making sure that ISIL is rolled back. What is also true, though, is that the only way to maintain long-term stability inside of Iraq is if the Sunni minority feels invested in their country the same way that the Shia majority does.
What the Sam Hill kind of answer is that?
I don't even know.
The minority must feel like they have a say.
So what he's saying is...
Like the majority feel... What he's saying is that the minority in America run America. The minority run the majority of America.
I didn't look into it that way.
And that's what he wants to happen over there. We need the minority to run the majority. Or at least feel like they're involved.
That's a leap.
I know.
It's a leap.
Because I don't know what else to think of. I mean, it's just ludicrous.
Or he said they need to feel like they have a say,
Right.
not actually have a say. We just want them to have the perception that they
We're
have
going to
a say.
send them all voter ID cards.
Oh, and then they're going to get rejected.
And they'll feel, hey, I've got a voter ID card.
I got a card.
I
have a say.
Yet they know that when they pull that lever or press that electronic button, there's a monkey inside the machine that when you push button A for your party, the monkey actually flips the switch to make it B.
What do you mean by monkey?
You know, the one with the top hat that would go out and get the peanuts and...
The little red cap with the tassel on it?
Yes. And he'd go out and get the money from the people.
Okay, I can see that.
Where were you going with that? Here's the full 30-second clip of how and when he learned about Hillary.
At the same time, everybody else learned it through news reports.
Were you disappointed?
Let me just say that Hillary Clinton is and has been an outstanding public servant. She was a great Secretary of State for me. Policy of my administration is to encourage transparency. And that's why my emails, the BlackBerry that I carry around, all those records are available and archived. And I'm glad that, instructed that those emails that had to do with official business need to be disclosed.
Well, I'm glad to see that BlackBerry's still sending a check to Obama for endorsing his products.
You know, that's exactly what it is.
He said Hillary is outstanding public servant. She is always outstanding somewhere.
So
where
far
she's,
outstanding.
She's standing really far out in having a smoke break, apparently, while Benghazi burnt down and all of our servants were being raped.
Right, and she is
tortured, murdered, and drugged through the streets.
Right, and she is fully responsible for the... I don't know if it's a full-blown civil war in Libya, but it borderline right now a full-on civil war between two factions in Libya after she was responsible for the killing and ousting of Muammar Gaddafi with no follow-up, no plan on the ground to help the government, prop up a government, put something into play, and everything's burning as Benghazi would.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's how she's... So last but not least, Obama gives his farewell ending speech thing to this whole Selma, the climax, the crescendo.
The height of racial divide.
Yes, exactly.
Selma shows us that America is not the project of any one person, because the single most powerful word in our democracy is the word we. We the people.
So lovely.
We shall overcome.
We shall overcome.
Yes, we can. That word is owned by no one. It belongs to everyone. Political and economic and social barriers came down. And the change these men and women wrought is visible here today in the presence of African Americans who run boardrooms, who sit on the bench, who serve in elected office from small towns to big cities, from the Congressional Black Caucus all the way to the Oval Office. 100 members of Congress have come here today to honor people who are willing to die for the right to protect it. If we want to honor this day, let that 100 go back to Washington and gather 400 more and together pledge to make it their mission to restore that law this year. That's how we honor those on this bridge.
Did you hear the crowd? It was like maybe 30 or 40 people clapping.
It was a small crowd.
Well, no, it could have been a big crowd. The size of the overall crowd, that's not what's important.
From what I saw from the video.
Screaming like Martin Luther the King was on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial with 1 million people there hollering, and it was like 30 people clapping.
Well,
he did have a crowd.
I was a little late on that one. He did have a crowd. Well, at the very end of that, there was a telling thing that he was pushing.
I kind of missed. I heard everything, but I missed the message.
He was saying, "Go, you 100 people, go back to D.C. and get...
Was there exactly 100 people?
Well, 100 congressmen, 100 politicians.
Okay.
He claimed there was 100 politicians.
Okay.
And the story claimed that one of them was George H. Bush.
But
I didn't even know he was even out of the hospital.
I didn't even know he was in the hospital.
Well, I didn't know he was traveling. And the capacity to travel. H, that's Grandpa Bush,
he usually
right?
jumps out of the aircraft. He does
Over
skydiving.
Christmas break, he was bedridden in the hospital.
Well,
what's he going out to Selma in the middle of the winter for?
Probably skydiving.
Fair enough. So he said, go back to D.C. and just like network marketing, you need to go get
your friends.
Your 400 friends.
Well,
so each one of you get 4 people.
Each one of you guys get 4 people.
That'd be 400 more.
And if each one of them gets 4 people.
Woo, boy, you're going exponential. So what he was talking about is that this week, the Supreme Court struck down Section 4 of the Voting Rights Act on Tuesday.
And what is Section 4?
According to Obama, it needs to be undone and redone, and that's why they need to go get their people to undo and redo it and put it back in, because the Supreme Court doesn't know what they're doing. So, Section 4 of the provision designates which part of the country must have changes to their voting laws cleared by the federal government or in a federal court. What all this says, sum this up, is that Section 4 said that in order for a state or a local portion of that state, if they want to change their voting laws, as long as it doesn't violate the Constitution, they had to get permission from the federal government.
Okay.
The Supreme Court said wrong and struck that down. Said it was unconstitutional.
And why? Because of the 10th Amendment?
Which then goes back to the states, Arizona and Texas, enforcing the immigration laws.
Oh.
And the voter ID laws. And it was Eric Holder versus... It was a landmark case. Eric Holder. It didn't say Eric Holder. It said Holder versus State, which I believe is probably Eric Holder.
So let's say Texas wants to make a law.
Well, they did,
requiring you to have an ID in order to vote.
Right,
which I would think in Arizona, New Mexico, California, and Texas, that would be the most crucial because they're flooded with illegal immigrants who otherwise would completely just wreak havoc on a vote.
Right.
On a general vote.
Sure.
So
especially
that makes
when
sense
they're
to me.
poor, coming across the border, they don't have anything. They're looking for something. They've been told that this is the land of milk and honey and the streets are lined with gold.
And they have politicians telling them that if you vote for me, I'm going to get you $60,000.
Right, and you'll get that. And there's very good possibility.
An income tax return credit, whatever.
Right. You've got 5 kids. Each one gets $25,000. That's $125,000.
Yeah,
you and your wife both get $40,000 each because you're older.
Okay.
You're wiser.
Oh, yeah, okay. And you need it more.
Right. So Texas did actually make this law, and Eric Holder...
He tried to stop it by saying that any voter laws in any state have to go through D.C.
because of the Voting Rights Act that was passed back in the day.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Supreme Court heard the Section 4 of that act, which states has to go to the federal government.
And on
by a 5 to 4 decision.
It's always 5-4, and this is why, guys, we are so on the brink of completely losing this country.
Can you imagine if it was 5-4 the other way?
It will be. One day, this is what's going to happen. One day, there's going to be a Democrat communist president like we have now.
Right.
It could be before Obama gets out of office. It could very well be. And one of those 5, only 5 rational judges on the Supreme Court justices that actually exercise moral righteousness and logical correctness and interpret the laws of the land correctly. We only have 5 of them. One of them is going to die in office while we have a communist president like Obama.
Right.
And when that happens, he's going to be replaced with a fifth. There's 3 communists on the Supreme Court justice. 4 of them. I'm sorry, 4.
And her name is Ruth. I lost my Bader Ginsburg.
That's one of them. There's 3 others. And once that happens, where somebody trips, falls, dies, or gets in a car wreck, or dies in a plane crash, or just dies of old age while there's a communist in office, it's going to be filled by the 5th, and that'll be it. We will have lost the country at that point.
Absolutely,
because
completely gone.
Yeah, because now there'll be no way to stop anything from happening, because and also a lot of rulings will either be overturned or new rulings will happen under the new Supreme Court justices.
I think you're thinking of Sonia Sotomayor.
Whatever.
I think she's also a lefty.
Every time there is a case that they see where it's clear that it's a conservative, moral righteousness situation versus a complete communist, evil, bad for the country, bad for everything that we stand for. It comes down to a 5-4 vote, and I'm like,
right.
Who are these 4 people? Why? On what grounds would they go so wrong? And it's like that every single time a case comes through.
Well, I mean, look at Obamacare. It went 5-4 the wrong way.
The wrong way because of
Justice Roberts.
Roberts came, and I know what he was thinking. I hope he learned his lesson. America's going to suffer for many, many, many decades, maybe 100 years because of it. It may cause the collapse of America.
It very well.
The domino may have just been tipped over that ends up down the road. I mean, the dominoes are falling right now as we speak, and we don't even hear them. We don't know them. But it will. We may have had that domino fall there. That will end up causing the obliteration of America.
They'll go back 100 years.
1,000 years.
1,000 years
and
from
be
now.
like, this, look what happened here. And it
the
was
fall of Rome.
Yeah.
When we're going back and talking about Julius Caesar, they'll go back the fall of America, and they'll pinpoint
Justice Roberts.
Justice Roberts will be tarnished for eternity.
And I don't think he realizes the damage, the 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 year damage that he caused where people will be learning about what happened to America.
Right. And so the left was screaming that Supreme Court striking this Section 4 down, screaming racism and all this other stuff. However,
they got to have the battering ram.
Do you know who else voted for this to be removed and it was unconstitutional? The only black conservative Clarence Thomas, who is one of the best judges on the court.
Yeah, he's always right.
I've never seen him write an opinion piece that was not right on point.
He has the moral high ground. He has moral righteousness. I mean, he's legally correct, morally correct, all of the above.
So, like I said before,
but he's an Uncle Tom according to the Democrat Party.
Right. The Democrat Party will call Clarence Thomas, who is a African American, just like the president, maybe even more so because he has 2 black parents.
He's actually an American.
American first.
But if you're a Democrat, you call him African American.
Right, and so the Democrats call him Uncle Tom, bootlicker, all the most heinous things you could possibly think of. They will bash him for being a conservative and moral and conservative.
Yeah, that pretty much sums it up. And he's not the only one, but he gets it the worst because of his position of power and all that kind of stuff.
And Anthony Scalia, who's not a white man, they also bash him for not towing his party's line, or his, when I say his party's line, for not towing the Hispanic line or whatever the line is. I don't know what the line is.
I don't even know what that is. Yeah, whatever.
So he gets a lot of heat. So at the beginning and the onset of all of this, I told you that there is an angle Obama was going at with this Selma.
Yeah, what's going on with this thing? Because I'm like, why is he saying things that I don't think I would ever hear him say, which is that race relations are getting better?
Late afternoon this week, President Obama said in a speech to his supporters that he wishes to seek an unprecedented and put together the Third Reich term,
Third Reich term.
As Commander-in-Chief, he cited his exemplary work at bringing the country back from the brink of economic catastrophe, much like former socially minded pluralist leader Franklin Delano, yours and mine truly, Roosevelt.
Which, of course, was the cause of the law that required you to get the hell out of Washington after your second term.
Right. Flanked by a few of his most ardent Democrat supporters in Congress, he announced the urgency to repeal a portion of the Constitution which forbids the president from seeking a third term. Democrats have already pushed forth legislation that should accomplish just that, Obama stated. I would put, in parentheses, my administration. I would put my administration up against any prior administration since FDR. We didn't ask for the challenges that we face, but we don't shrink from them either. It says shrink. That's a weird one. He continued, and the truth is, it will take more than a few years for us to solve the challenges that have been built up over decades. It will require common effort.
Common effort.
Common effort.
Dog whistle. Wait. I can't make it.
No, here's the dog whistle.
Yeah, I hear it. I heard it.
Common effort, shared responsibility, and the kind of bold, persistent experimentation that Franklin Roosevelt pursued during the only crisis worse than this one.
By the way, did you know that Franklin D. Roosevelt he actually came out with a speech trying to sell whoever he was speaking to on a completely brand new revised Bill of Rights.
Yes, I have heard that. And at the very end of this, President Obama will issue an executive order late next week expanding presidential powers and eliminating the 22nd Amendment, according to news reports published by the AP and Reuters. How true any of that is, we here at Smith Radio know.
The problem is that I'm the President of the United States. I'm not the Emperor of the United States.
So don't feed it. That's what he wants. So he knows what the problem is. He knows that the problem is that he's not the emperor.
And it's not the Republicans anymore. That's not his problem.
And so to solve that problem, it's important that he becomes emperor. That's what
Right. So, clear.
So what did he say about FDR?
Oh, boy. He's talking about the great experimentation that only FDR did.
All right. So among the FDR
that he wants
Bill
to do,
of Rights,
he wants to do experimentations.
Yeah. So he wants the right to a useful and remunerative job in the industries or shops or farms or mines of the nation. The right. You have the right to a useful job. Okay. The right to earn enough to provide adequate food and clothing and recreation. Interesting. That's all worded in there.
Wow.
So if you're working and you have adequate food and clothing, but you can make a case that you're not getting adequate recreation, you could sue somebody for that. The right of...
Hey, how about the new job I have where it's mandatory 55-hour work week? Mandatory.
It's impressive considering Obamacare legislation.
It hasn't really stuck itself in there in full effect, but you know.
Well, what mandatory is in a minimum of?
Yes.
Is a lot of overtime hours.
Well, yeah, but I mean, according to this, I should be able to sue my employer because I don't have enough free time.
Not enough recreation. The right of every farmer to raise and sell his products at a return which will give him and his family a decent living. You know, the free market capitalism does this, wait for it, automatically.
No, that's not possible, Kerry.
It is possible.
Yeah. Okay, so Adam Smith and The Wealth of Nations, how he talks about the invisible hand.
Well,
we're not going to leave this up to mumbo jumbo and magic. You're talking about magic.
He said the invisible hand. Who believes in an invisible hand? Have you ever felt an invisible hand? I think he's full of baloney.
I think it's all a joke trying to sell me an invisible hand.
Exactly. All right, so the right of every businessman, large and small. Whoa. Is that a weight joke?
Whoa.
What was that? Wow. To trade.
Chris Christie's not involved.
Whoa.
Tipping the scale.
He does tip the scale. The right of every businessman, large and small, to trade in an atmosphere of freedom from unfair competition and domination by monopolies at home or abroad. Now, here's the thing. This is a non sequitur. How do you, if you have the freedom from unfair competition from monopolies, if you're competing against a monopoly, it's no longer a monopoly.
Right.
You are its competition.
Right.
This right here just tells me that he has a complete lack of understanding of a capitalist free market system. Right. All right. The right of every family to a decent home.
Oh, that's what Obama did, and that's why 2008 crashed like it,
that caused, let me tell you something, Democrats, I got in a huge argument with somebody online this week. It was an author. It was the How to Raise Your Kids article. They talked about the housing crisis in the How to Raise Your Kids article.
My goodness.
I swear.
Oh, my goodness.
So anyway, I got into this argument on the comment section of that article that it is pure false propaganda that the Democrats decided to come up with, that somehow, he used the phrase, Wall Street bankers.
Wall Street bankers?
Or something. Or bankers and Wall Street billionaires.
Right.
Who, quote, brought our economy to the brink. It's always right to the brink. But Obama, our savior, got into the phone booth, spun around real fast, and came out with his big blue and yellow and red tights with the S on it. It saved the day. No, the truth is that it was Democrat policies that caused, and let me tell you about the policies. When you hear that FDR wanted the right of every family to a decent home, socialists and communists will then implement policies to make that a reality. What they don't know, because they're stupid, is that those policies end up causing a housing crisis, which brings our economy to the brink.
Right.
Okay, so the next one is the right to adequate medical care and the opportunity to achieve and enjoy good health.
What?
That's called Obamacare. So he was a communist.
If this isn't a communist manifesto of manifestos.
If you've ever listened or read the Communist Manifesto, you would find that this is what they want. So the next one, the right to adequate protection from economic fears of old age, sickness, accident, and unemployment. So that was the precursor to the Social Security, which a lot of old people, bless their heart, they're like, don't take my Social Security. I remember I was in a town hall meeting with Shabbat.
Yeah.
And it was a phone on town hall. So you had to get on the phone. It was like this big conference call, and anybody can listen in, and you can actually request to ask a question, and then Shabbat would answer it. Well, there was some old guy, don't you touch my Social Security!
Really?
And of course, Shabbat, being the politician that he is like, oh, no. We're going to make sure that none of that gets messed with or anything else. Let me tell you something. You may have sort of paid into the slush, the communist slush fund.
Right.
and been promised something in return for that, but you got shafted. The thing doesn't work. It's a Ponzi scheme, and if Ponzi schemes were good, they wouldn't be illegal.
Right. The Ponzi scheme is one person pays in, 3 people pay out.
Right, and here's the thing. Bernie Madoff end up ripping off lots of people with a ginormous, probably the biggest Ponzi scheme in world history.
Human history.
Well, second biggest because of Social Security.
Wow.
Second biggest. No, it was
yeah.
Okay, so second biggest in world history. Now, here's the key.
But the amount that he stole and took literally almost destroyed
nations.
Whole
entire
countries.
Nations. Yeah, Iceland was on the brink because of Bernie Madoff.
Yes!
Yeah. So here's the moral of the story. There were lots and lots and lots and lots of families who will never see their money.
No.
They are never going to see it back, and I feel bad for them, and maybe they should have saw the warning signs or whatever.
If it's too good to be true, it probably is.
And you know what? And that's the price they pay.
That's an education.
Yeah, it's a very expensive education. Here's my point. All of y'all who are counting on Social Security alone to keep you out of the gutter. All I can say is, I mean, maybe we could have some sort of like a patch that will get us from the Ponzi scheme to not a Ponzi scheme. That would keep you out of the gutter, maybe. Because I don't think every single Social Security recipient is going to be in the gutter if you take it away from them.
They showed that if they had private savings accounts instead of Social Security, that was part of the economy, part of the investment economy.
IRA.
They call it an IRA.
Yeah.
If that's where all your money went, you would get back exponentially more money than Social Security could ever give you, and you're contributing to the profit of the government, the country, the profitability of our market, our entire economy.
You are freeing up cash flow in the free market economy. It's money that businesses can use to further industry.
So, Uncle Kerry, where do they put the Social Security money now? In a lockbox?
If you are a supporter of Al Gore, you would think that that's what they would hope.
Well, good luck with all that.
It ends up, you know what it ends up going to? It ends up going to IOUs to everywhere. They'll spend 10 times more than what they receive from Social Security on all these projects and debt.
Right. Well, this is related to what we're talking about as well with FDR and all this. There's a politician by the name of Dick Turbin Durbin. He got the middle name Turbin from Rush Limbaugh because of his likes and stuff with the Middle East and real soft on, people. Anyways, so Dick Turbin Durbin was speaking about the Constitution to Congress, and this is what he said about the Constitution.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Before any of us can serve in the United States Senate, we stand in the well of the Senate chamber and publicly take an oath to uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States. I know we all take that seriously, as we should. This is not just another government document. It is really the inspiration of this government, and it still governs our actions to this day. Yet, if we view this document with honesty, we know that it was fatally flawed from the start. It got the issue of slavery wrong, in addition to some other issues. It got the issue of race wrong. And since the days when that document was drafted and signed, we have struggled as a nation to right that wrong. It has taken a long, long time. We properly celebrate those moments in history where we finally moved beyond the era of the Constitution on race and really moved on a new path. We celebrate that day 152 years ago when a Republican president of the United States, Abraham Lincoln, issued an executive order, the Emancipation Proclamation, which freed 3 million slaves in America. It is proper that we celebrate that moment because America stepped forward because of that president's courage and the use of his executive power.
Yes. He's talking about the Constitution, how it's flawed.
He's out of his mind.
Hold on, wait for it. He's prepping his dear leader. He's prepping the grounds, the executive order, flawed Constitution. Obama is going to use executive order to destroy the 22nd Amendment that says he can't run for a third term.
Well, it's not about third term. It's about abolishing the presidency.
Right. Well, if he can...
He's not going to run again. He's just going to abolish the presidency.
If he is able to get away... I'm going to tell you right now, anybody in earshot of my voice, I literally feel that if he is still president after 2016, in January,
whatever it is,
we should
part of the way through the
15th.
Sure,
we'll call
sure.
It. Call whatever they take
I think
over.
It's like March or something. I don't know.
Whatever they take over, and that turns. Does that turn 2016 or does that turn 2017?
2016 is the year that they run.
2017 will be the installation of the new president.
Yep.
If the new president in 2017, his name is Barack Barry Hussein Obama, Lord, help all of us.
No, it's over. Well, I mean,
it's just no way.
I mean, there's so many other things that have made it over. You know, we know where this ends thanks to Robert's decision in the Supreme Court justice. We know, and it may take 100 years. I mean, what'll happen is we'll slowly
as fast as it's going right now.
Probably less. Yeah, I mean, what'll happen is before it completely collapses, it will be a 100% full-blown communist nation.
The only thing that gives me a slight glimmer of hope through the blacked-out shades that the wind actually kind of shifted them, and there's a little sliver of light coming through the blacked-out shades, is that isn't it amazing how over the last 100 years the bombardment and the attack of communism has still not taken America down to her knees?
That is a little glimmer of hope, but
that says something about how absolutely powerful our country as a capitalist,
but it's not strong enough.
Free market.
It's not strong enough. It's failed. It's failed. I mean, Mark Levin says that. Mark Levin says this is exactly what he said in his book Meritopia. If the founders of the country could jump in a time machine from the past and come up and see what has happened to the country, they will have declared it a failure.
Absolutely.
It's as simple as that. Now, getting back to idiot Turbin. You know what? He's a genius. He's a genius because he could say that bald-faced lie, knowing full well that his constituencies will know it as fact, and if they didn't know it as fact, they'll be like, oh, I never thought of it that way, but now that you told me that, now I know.
Right.
I know something I didn't know before. Right. It was a lie. There is nothing in any of the founding documents.
The Constitution got slavery wrong.
The Constitution was the framework which eventually led to the freeing of slaves.
Correct.
The slavery happened because the British wanted to keep up with the Spanish and Portuguese in the industry.
Who also used slaves.
Well, it started, I believe, with Portugal.
Right.
They started shipping in slaves from Africa to get the industry going in the New World and enrich their country.
Right.
And when the Spanish saw what they were doing, they thought, wow, how are we going to compete with that?
We got to get up on top of this.
We have no way to compete other than just fight fire with fire. So let's go get some slaves.
Right.
So they got involved in the slave trade. And then England was like, well, we better get on this.
Right.
I mean, no way we're going to let them defeat us with this. And they would have. I mean, it would have ended up with, the Spanish, French, Portuguese, whatever.
And the British even would sentence some of their citizens that they didn't like, whether they're culturally, whether it's Scotland or Irish, whatever. They would sentence their citizens, white citizens, to America as indentured servants, slaves, for 7 years. And then after 7 years was up, as punishment,
okay.
After 7 years was up, the slave owner could choose to up it 7 years if he was still alive.
Yeah, I mean, who's to say your 7 years is up, or who's to say
you're in the new world? It's so far away.
Yeah, what's the procedure for freeing him at that point? Is there an actual process?
Where's the appeals process?
Right. So what we have is in America. It's a British colonies. It's the colonies of Great Britain,
right,
who are engaging in slavery. And when the enlightened, when the people in the colonies, started getting educated on the Enlightenment period, with everything that came with that, with the John Locke and all that kind of stuff, the Montesquieu and all that kind of stuff, they wrote these, the backroom deals, Bill of Rights, Constitution, all that stuff. The Declaration,
to establish a new world separate from
Great Britain.
And this world that they were creating would with everything they laid out, all the groundwork they laid out, led up to the freeing of everybody.
Yeah, and the truth of the history of the United States is that they wanted to free the slaves the second they declared independence, but there were a couple of holdouts in the South. I think it was Georgia and South Carolina.
And they saw it, the founders saw it as a major problem if they could not unite all the colonies, all the states. If you couldn't have all the states united,
it wouldn't work. They knew it wouldn't work.
Never have worked.
They knew it wouldn't work, so they knew that in order... let me put it to you this way. Even Mark Levin put it this way. Had they decided, well, you know what, let's not declare independence, or let's try to go independent without Georgia and South Carolina.
Dude.
Let's not be united.
Right.
Let's just go with whatever we can. That it would have been a failed attempt, and possibly even to this day we could have slavery in America.
Oh yeah,
and it would be called Great New England.
I mean, we're talking...
It would be New England.
Right, and we're talking 15 years, which is a very, very short time back then. 15 years back then would have been, I mean, to make something happen and to get the information out, to vote, to get the politicians together, you're talking about a lot of
work. Yeah, imagine how
work.
long it took for a representative of South Carolina to get up to, it would have been Philadelphia at the time, and go and have meetings with them.
Right. It was very difficult. So in a short, very quick 15 years, the Republicans, or the conservatives, started us down the course of abolishing slavery.
Yeah,
very short.
Thomas Jefferson wanted to abolish slavery the second the Declaration of Independence was delivered to Great Britain. The problem was, they needed to be united. Nowhere in the documents, anywhere, does it say that we support slavery.
No.
Or that we want to make sure that we keep slavery.
No.
So when he says...
And the word slavery is never mentioned in any of the documents, and I understand that libs, Dems, progressives like to say, gotcha! You don't even say a word about it. You don't even say it's bad. We don't have to say it's bad. We say that all men are created equal.
Yeah, there you go. That's what they say about it. They say all men are created equal, and I'm sure that there were some people that really didn't want slavery abolished that would try to say, well, how can we get around this statement that all men are created equal if we're viewing slaves as lesser?
And they actually tried to push that.
Yeah, and they tried. Their argument was, well, they're not real humans, or they're different.
They're humanoids.
They're all. When we say all man, we mean white men, because black men wouldn't be considered the man we're referring to. You know, they were doing mental gymnastics to try to...
The exact same thing they do today.
Yep, exactly what they do today. So for him to say that the founders got it wrong, the documents are wrong, they're flawed. Our entire country is founded on flawed documents. What part of it's flawed? Show me. The only part of it that's flawed is all the crap that they put in there after it.
Right.
Flat out.
Right.
They should go back to the original documents. All the amendments and stuff that they put in before has been actually hacking away at the perfection of the original founding of the country.
Well, and something that may make everyone feel a little bit better, and like I said, I'm not endorsing anybody for president, but I really enjoy Scott Walker and what he does in Wisconsin.
Wait. Is he black? Because if we don't have a black president, then the black people in America won't relate.
Well,
because we learned that from an educator.
We didn't we? We did learn that from an educator
in an inner city public school.
Right, and we should take heed.
And to be honest with you, let's be honest. Even though there's a much higher percentage of black people in that school than just about any other school in the city, I think it's only like barely. I'd love to see the demographics, but I think it's barely 50%. That means half the school is white.
So that means that they have to represent the half that's black by putting a black person in, because white people relate to black people.
Is that what they're saying?
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know what the reason is.
Well, I remember the commercials, Like Mike.
Oh, yeah.
It was a huge movement among white kids.
We loved it.
Everybody wanted
Michael
to be
Jordan.
like Mike.
Not only do we never saw race when we watched Michael Jordan phenomenally play the sport of basketball like nobody has ever played. Not only that, but to watch Tiger Woods play. Everybody loved to watch him play before he did what he did with his wife, and that just kind of ruins your reputation. And then
like
my
Mike
favorite boxer of all time, Mike Tyson. I loved waiting to see and to watch, and I never for one second thought, where's the black guy? No, where's Mike?
Yeah, everybody. I mean, it's amazing. So anyway,
Scott Walker of Wisconsin.
It's amazing how far we've fallen, is what I want to say.
Yeah, true. However, here's another shimmer of light, just a shimmer, not a glimpse. Scott Walker, when he was going for re-election, he said that in his campaign speeches he would not talk about the right-to-work bill in the state of Wisconsin for his entire next term. It'd be on the shelf. And we weren't going to work with, we weren't going to talk about it, we weren't going to bring it up. The right-to-work bill in Wisconsin was proposed by the Republican legislature.
Was it?
And spearheaded and pushed through.
Because I hear the
Scott
word...
Walker promised. Said, well, I said I wasn't going to do anything with it, but if you get it passed, I'll sign it, and I promise. That's right. Uncle Kerry's looking at me a little cockeyed. Well, the right-to-work bill.
Because I never trust the title of any legislation.
I know.
Because 75% of the time, maybe more,
the wording
is the opposite of what it actually means.
So when they say right to work, does that mean a guaranteed job?
Well, it sounds to me like you are taking the rights away from business owners, is what it sounds like. So for Walker to support it seems opposite of what I would think. I would think, well, right to work.
However, the reason why I learned about it was because of a past job in Cincinnati.
Okay.
And Ohio is a right-to-work state.
Okay.
What that means, the proposal would make it a crime, punishable by 9 months in jail, to require private sector workers who aren't in a union to pay union dues.
Wait, it would force them to pay union dues?
No, it would make it a crime.
Oh, a crime to make them.
To make them pay union dues. If they don't, the job that I had years ago, there was a union in the company. You could join the union freely if you wanted, or you could not join the union freely if you wanted. It's no big deal. The union negotiated the benefits. The union laid out the pay scale. The union did all the union stuff with the company. So where do you come into play if you're not paying union dues?
I would assume, this is my assumption, and I don't know how this would work. It sounds to me like if you have a union in a company that also employs people who are non-union, I'm just thinking very logically here, that the collective bargaining people would collectively bargain for a contract that would because they only represent the union employees,
right?
That contract would only cover union employees. Anybody who's working there who is not in the union, I would assume, would have to negotiate their own personal contract with the employer.
However,
so where am I going wrong? Where am I going wrong?
You're not wrong. That's logical thinking.
It seems logical.
However, the non-union employees reap all the benefits of the collective bargaining of the union. And they don't pay union dues because they don't want to be a part of the union.
Okay.
So, why would you be in the union?
Why would you be?
You wouldn't be. And that's what's got all the unions completely up in arms.
Well, I think that if they did it my way, what I just described a second ago, it would make sense.
I wouldn't have a problem with that at all.
What if you found out, this is why it shouldn't be
Now, the company probably does do it your way. Okay. However, the company probably says in the board meeting, you know, we're not going to actually sit down with the non-union employees and bargain with them too. Too much bargaining. We're just going to go ahead and let them have. We'll just make the bargain for everybody. One big basket.
Well, if they want to do that, that's up to them.
Well, and that's the company that I worked for.
But if they were smart, they'd say this contract only applies to the ones that are paying union dues.
Now, there is something else too. If something goes down in the union and on the job, when you're on the job, something goes south and you need representation to approach management or ownership, you get zero representation from the union.
That makes sense to me. That makes sense to me.
The union will not. And something else that went a little nasty too is that the union would play mental games.
Oh, you're saying they would undermine you and sabotage.
Borderline harass. Harass.
I'm sure, yeah.
Just like the keying of your dad's car at a Ford dealership with a Toyota car.
Yeah, if you work at any union shop whatsoever, for any reason, if it could be contracting, subcontracting,
right,
or it could be that you're actually in that union, or it could be that you're just visiting. If you show up with a competitor's product to that place, it will get vandalized like you're in the ghetto.
Yes. So, Representative Latonya Johnson, Democrat, Milwaukee, and a member of AFSCME, whatever that organization is, probably a union, said she cares more about the people than freedom.
What is that? How do you read into that? That's a really...
She said she cares about people more than freedom.
Okay, what people? Do you really care about people if you don't care about their freedom?
I quote her as well, it just angers me to know that we come here and we pass bills that affect people's everyday lives, and we don't have a clue as to how those everyday people live or how they survive. This bill is a bunch of crap. Democrat Representative Latonya Johnson, Milwaukee. As the indigenous people.
Yeah, gotta call them indigenous, which is fine.
So I as I was reading all this, I started quoting something VOS, and I I didn't get what Voss was, and they didn't make it clear in the article, so I looked it up. The Speaker of the legislature, the Speaker of the House, if you will, the Speaker, the person who heads it up, and there's one person at top, kind of like Speaker Boehner or Mitch McConnell. Well, Speaker Robin Voss, that's who's headed this whole thing up, accused Democrats of having Walker derangement syndrome and said the bill was about giving workers the freedom to choose whether they wish to pay union dues or not. I'm not going to apologize about using the word freedom, said Republican Jeremy Thiefest of Fond du Lac. I'm going to use it over and over again because that's what this is all about. Freedom. Yes. Free to choose.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing. If these communists knew anything about the free market capitalist system, they should win. They should be confident that they'll win. Let's say that we're working in the shop that I described, where you can either pay union dues and be a part of the collective bargaining, and if you don't pay union dues and you're not in the union, you're not subject to the collective bargaining or protection.
Right.
And so you have to negotiate your own contract with the company.
Correct.
Which
actually happens in every job you get that's non-union.
Yeah, you're actually...
When I just got this, just applied for a new job, and I sat down with the guy who was in charge, and we negotiated. He laid out all the things that they would offer. Mm-hmm. I accepted those terms. We negotiated on a price, on an hourly rate. He accepted the terms. I accepted the terms. We negotiated the terms of the job.
And once you both come to an agreement, you should both either be both happy or both sad.
Right. And we're fairly happy. It's all good. Right.
So, so if they operate under those conditions, they should be like, all right, let's do this. Let's go to town. Let's go to war, whatever. And what will happen is they got good negotiators.
The union.
Let's say they do.
Yeah, they got this guy named Guido with a baseball bat that goes to break knees.
All right. And all the union guys are making like $7 more per hour.
$70 more
per hour than all the non-unions because they just weren't as good at negotiating. At some point, they might say, well, hell, I would actually earn more money if I just start paying union dues, join their union,
right,
and then I'll be a part of the collective bargaining with them.
If that really worked.
And why wouldn't it work?
Because, as the shops that we see so far, the company negotiates, if you will, silent negotiation. They just voluntarily give non-union workers what union workers are getting.
And so
because it's easier for the company.
They're like, well, you know what? They said $25 an hour for all these people doing this work. These people who are over here doing the same work, they're not union, but all right, well, just pay everybody $25.
They had a starting pay rate and a pay scale at the union job I was in. The starting pay scale and the union raises, I got all of them, all 6 raises within the first year and not even being in the union.
And here's the thing. That's all on the owner.
Yes, and that was the company was fine with going down that road. They didn't care.
So for the union to be upset with that is their problem.
Correct.
In fact, it's a dumb problem. For them to have a problem, you know what that means? They didn't bargain for enough.
Right.
If they have enough money left over to pay the non-union workers the same amount, then you need to go back the next year when your contract is up and say, hey, I noticed you had enough money to pay all these non-union guys the same amount as us, so we want another $10 an hour per.
Right.
And if you have a problem paying that much, you can skim it off of those guys.
Right.
And if they say, well, let me come back to you with my counter offer, whatever.
So Democrat Representative Teresa Bakuku Bakuku
I don't know. What's a
of Madison said this minutes before the vote. As I stand here on... as I stand, today is the day we have solidified the regressive era in Wisconsin.
Oh, that's good.
The regressive...
Well...
I want more regressive era in America.
Hold on. Let me clarify for everybody listening what Brian's talking about. He's saying regressive as in the opposite of what is traditionally a part of the progressive movement, which is the communist movement. The problem is regressive. The word regressive means something, and the word progressive has a double meaning. The title progressive for communists is a misnomer.
Right.
If you want to use the word progressive for what it actually means, then libertarian free market capitalists are the progressives.
Because they're progressing to a more free market type country.
So her using the word regressive could be a lie if referring to regressive as the actual meaning, or the truth if she just means it's the opposite of her communist agenda.
Yes, it's the opposite of her communist agenda.
Okay.
That is truly what it is. So, and the regressive era, in my mind, would be...
the opposite of communism.
Yes, sending all these politicians to D.C. to remove...
Oh, I see what you're
laws
saying.
To regress. I know, I'm stretching it.
How about if we progress to a simpler time?
Okay, fair enough.
By hacking away at all these stupid laws. Hey, do you want to get to... We got 20 minutes left. Do you want to react... or do you have more?
Let me throw this one thing out on Benjamin Netanyahu just real quick. It doesn't take much.
Because we did want to get to the parenting section of our show.
Bill Maher.
Oh, Bill Maher, okay.
Had something to say about Benjamin Netanyahu's speech this week, and this is what Bill Maher said on HBO's special.
I think if we're really applauding and not Rand Pauling it. You know what I'm talking about? This is an amazing week. A week of a lot of fake scandals and one real one. We'll get to that. But here's my favorite fake one. You saw on Tuesday, the Prime Minister of Israel spoke before Congress. The Republicans f***ing love this guy. I thought they were gay for Reagan, but I mean, they were jumping up and down like they're at a Taylor Swift concert. And okay, but here's the scandal. The next day, all these conservative outlets got on Rand Paul, the Kentucky senator, because he wasn't clapping enthusiastically enough. Because we live in North Korea now, people, and the next day, Rand Paul said, I gave the man 50 standing ovations. One for each Jew in Kentucky. What do you want me to do? Play Tevye and Fiddler on the Roof? I mean, apparently they do. I mean, the Republicans went all out. Ted Cruz was wearing Star of David face paint and a clip-on beard. Lindsey Graham was throwing his panties right at BIBI. It was amazing. Mitch McConnell was running around showing everybody his circumcision. I mean,
the anti-Semitism in the progressive movement is just palpable.
You know,
but getting to the gay comments, at least we didn't have a tingle up our leg.
Yeah.
All right, there's that. And yeah, that's I don't know what else to say about that.
And then this was also the spokeswoman for State Department, spokeswoman Marie Harf. If you saw her, you would know her. She's got these black framed, thick 1950s framed glasses, and she looks like she's in her early 30s. She looks like a knockoff of Monica Lewinsky.
Okay.
And her attitude is just suffocating.
Oh.
Right. Well,
suffocating attitude.
She held a daily press briefing at the White House on Tuesday, and this is her remarks on Benjamin Netanyahu.
We didn't hear certainly any new ideas today, but more importantly, didn't hear one single concrete alternative in today's speech from the Prime Minister. It was sort of a hypothetical that he put out there, really all rhetoric and nothing more. A little overstated and just not accurate. I think we need to be very clear about what we're trying to achieve and what the alternatives look like. Not in a fantasy world, not in a world without specifics, but in the real world. Well, I think he said that they'd taken over 4 countries or something.
Taken over.
Gobbled up. That's not a technical term I would probably use.
Netanyahu said today at Congress that up to 5 years, DPRK could produce up to 100 nuclear weapons. Would you agree with such assessment?
I'm happy to check with our technical experts, but last time I checked, Prime Minister Netanyahu was not one of them.
Wow.
I'll check with our technical experts, but as of right now, BIBI is not one of them. Just one statement that Benjamin Netanyahu said in his in the light of the beheadings of American citizens by ISIS and their ever-increasing campaign in the Middle East and in the West, we can't afford to let Iran become a nuclear power. Point, end of point, quote, end of quote. Douglas E. Shunin of Fox News said he began by thanking key members of Congress and especially citing Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid for his support and friendship, an obvious nod to a Democrat Party that has been divided by Netanyahu's decision to come to Washington despite White House protests. Now, BIBI did that on purpose, said, hey, thanks, Harry Reid. I just want to give you a heads up there, but because it was Harry Reid that was protesting him even coming.
Oh, man, I don't know what to say about that.
Anyways, Netanyahu is trying to protect his country. Iran wants to annihilate his country, and the Democrat Party wants to annihilate Jews, apparently, according to Bill Maher. Just get rid of them. So that's the whole thing on Netanyahu. Did you want to go to that? Did you want to go to ABC Air's first ever homosexual kiss between 2 13-year-old boys? It's on ABC Family.
Oh, of course it is.
It's about a gay couple raising a family. Yeah, it's gone so wrong, man. I didn't.
Do you have a soundbite on it?
I didn't make no. I didn't make none of that. I didn't make none of that.
It's just why are they going down that road?
It's progressive.
Okay, so what we have, and we teased this at the beginning of the show, is I stumbled upon this yesterday, and I just could not believe what I was reading. So Yahoo has a parenting section.
We're going to have to go through this pretty quick.
Okay, no, we can. It's only 6 common phrases that should be banned from your house.
Okay.
And believe me, if they had the ability to do that legislatively, they would be all over that.
Well, Obama's trying to get high school kids to tell on their parents if they're racist or not.
Yeah. So he goes into the spiel about why it should be banned. It's all about raising your children better. First one out the gate. This should be banned from your house. If you have a son, of course. Be a man. I want to hear your reaction on that. This should be banned from your house. Be a man.
No, I want my son to be a man.
Right, and he's saying,
you gotta man up.
Right, and he's saying that you shouldn't do that because it sends a message that if you're supposed to be strong and tough, you should be a man. Are you saying that females can't be tough and strong?
I disagree with that because I'm talking. Let's take it back to its roots. We're talking about raising a warrior.
Are we?
Yes, I'm talking about raising someone. My son, his job in life as a man is to go out and slay the dragon. I've said that before on this show. That's what he's supposed to do. And I'm raising my daughters to find a man, a dragon slayer, that's going to provide like that.
This phrase it contradicts our mission as parents when we ask our kids to talk to us about what's bothering them. So he wants to get in touch with your feelings.
Let's start a conversation.
The deeper problem is that manning up is synonymous with pushing down your feelings, denying the urge to cry, or show a softer side.
I met a gay guy out in Hollywood, that said that his dad would do that to him, would kind of beat him up and beat him down. And he said that he was the bully against all the gay kids in high school, and he beat up gay guys in high school all the time. And he realized the reason why he did it is because of his dad, and he never got in touch with his true feelings.
So his dad told him to be a man.
Right, and he was, I'm gay and I didn't know it. Now I know I'm gay.
And you know, you say man up sometimes when you have a little boo-boo in a sport like football or something like that. You little kid, whatever, and he starts
Even
to cry.
my daughters, I don't tell them to man up. I tell them to shake it off.
Yeah, well, like Taylor Swift. She has that really popular song, Shake It Off.
Shake It Off?
Yeah.
Does it have to do with twerking?
Well, she says a player is going to play. And
shake it off.
A pimp's going to pimp. Something like that. I don't know.
Oh, Lord.
So anyway, so they suggest, try instead in sports, when facing a challenge, tell your kid, I believe you can try harder, or I know you're hurt. But I think you'll be very proud of yourself at the end of the game if you get back in there.
That's crap.
And
kids aren't
help your team out.
No, kids aren't hearing
If
that.
your kids are whining or fake crying, try saying, please don't whine. It doesn't help me understand you. Can you talk? No, how about this? Can you talk in a big kid voice so we can talk about what's wrong?
Oh, my goodness.
That's number one. Number two. I'm so fat. They say that should be banned in your house.
We never say that in our house.
Okay, so it is banned.
Not that it's banned, but if
he makes a good point. If
my daughter says I'm fat, and I know for a fact she's not.
All right.
If she was fat, I would agree with her. I mean, yes, you are fat.
Well, he's saying, we got to put on.
Because he's assuming there's a fat kid in the house.
It has to be. Well, and no, he starts off by saying, don't say I am fat. So, and this may be addressed to a mother, I don't know. Men don't talk like that.
No.
At least real men. But let's just say you're a woman and you are morbidly obese, and so you say something to the effect of, I'm fat, in front of your children. Right. He's saying that you should never do that because it could start to send messages to your kids that, whatever. And so, you know what? That might be the only valid point.
We don't say I'm fat because we're not fat, and we don't say that's stupid or you're stupid.
Really?
We don't say.
So it must make you cringe when I'm talking on this radio show.
No, because the kids will correct me now, because I'll say, you won't believe what that stupid Obama did. They're like, Daddy, you can't say stupid.
Right.
I know, you're right.
Yeah, you got to agree with them. Next one, this is another phrase banned from your household. That's for girls. Or they said, see also, that's for boys.
That's funny you say that because
we
have
girls.
Say about this.
Yeah.
And I've caught myself saying to, who was it? I guess it was my nephew or another boy or something. I say, quit acting like a girl.
Uh-oh.
And my daughter's
That's kind of
right
like
there.
Along the same lines as man up.
Right.
Okay.
Quit acting like a girl. But I catch myself and I just...
And see, you're falling down the same trap that a lot of people do. You're assuming that when girls hear somebody make fun of a boy for acting like a girl, that is a diss on the girl. Like there's something wrong with acting like a girl in general. But kids know. They do. Watch them when you say it. Kids know that they should not ever feel insulted when you tell a boy to stop acting like a girl. They would probably agree with you.
Do you know what my girls have done?
What would they?
They yelled at the one where you know who he is.
Okay.
And they yelled at him and told him to stop acting like a girl.
There you go. See, and
a girl to tell you
to
quit acting like a girl. That's hysterical.
That is the ultimate insult to a boy.
Yes.
And I got in these
because he was being a huge baby and a whiny. And
that's where the liberals will get you. They'll say, well, wait a minute. What's wrong with a girl acting like a baby and blah, blah, blah. Well, that we're not doing that.
No.
And actually, sometimes girls, they get a little bit more emotional, and maybe they're being a girl.
Yeah.
I'm going to get blown up for that one. But no, the thing is
they have hormone changes throughout the month, and they'll change their mind and do this.
No, I've had girls. And these are highly progressive, liberal women.
Okay.
That said, and this was a teacher, as a matter of fact, when I was in school, saying, boys have their time of the month. And we're like, what?
I heard that garbage too back
you watch.
in the day.
Everyone, about once a month, the boys will be all upset. And you just unconsolable.
If you tell somebody a lie enough times, they'll eventually believe it.
And I'm like, wait a minute. I get upset. That's true. There is no way it's on any kind of a monthly cycle.
No. All right. Let's
so
go to
the next one is that's gay. Or see, he's such a F blank G. And don't be a sissy, or any other slang for LGBTQ folks, which last week we talked about the alphabet soup.
LBGTQXLMTPBSMD.
Did you memorize all the letters, or you just made that up?
I memorized them all.
Okay, all right. That's very impressive. We're right on top of
Smith Radio, on top of the new titles.
So it says, we hope as a parent you're still not saying this.
I don't say... When we were growing up as kids in the 80s, everything was gay. Dude, quit being gay. Dude, that's so gay.
It's made a huge comeback.
Oh, really?
Oh, now
everything's gay.
Yeah, and it's used as a derogatory.
Oh, okay.
And in this day and age, with the acceptance of real gay people, compared to the way it was in the 80s, I think it's completely different. I think kids these days, I might be wrong because I'm so much older than these youngsters now, but I think the kids online that say that's so gay, or even in real life that say that's so gay, I don't even think there's a homosexual attachment to it anymore.
No, not at all.
Whereas back then, you call somebody gay, and there may actually be, and you would make fun of them for either being gay or...
If I called when I was a kid,
it
happened once or twice where somebody had made another boy or another man had made that type of advancement to me, and I said, "What are you, a FAGG?" And that to me as a kid was such a strong word that I never would say.
Don't call me that. And I don't know why.
And the reason why I said it is because there was this, bro, you're invading my space, and I was really upset. I mean, it's coming to fisticuffs.
What's that mean?
The boy had moxie that I didn't like.
We're using antiquated words and phrases here on Smith Radio. The next, he said, try instead. Tell your child to be more specific about what they're saying. Can you be more specific other than saying it's gay? In a way that doesn't harm other people. So now, back in the 80s when you would call somebody gay, or just say something's gay in general, there was no regard. Everybody just assumed that nobody was gay. There was always this universal assumption. Do you agree with me?
Yeah.
When you called somebody gay, you knew they weren't gay.
Right. No, we would say that to each other, to our friends.
Yeah,
dude,
you knew they weren't
quit
gay.
being gay, bro.
They may have actually been gay.
They might have been.
Right. But so anyway, so it says
you had a story about that.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember.
Did you have your military friend you didn't know was gay?
Oh yeah. Finally, he's like, dude, I'm gay, and I was like,
no,
what?
No, bro. Bro, come on, quit being gay, bro. He's like, I am now. He's like, well, but I am that too.
Oh, okay. Well, all right.
You want to come over for dinner?
Well, so so he suggests saying that sucks or that's ridiculous.
All right,
instead
next
of
one.
saying that's
is there one more?
No, we're on number 5.
So that is
be quick.
Oh, okay. hurry.
What a slut.
No.
How is that not?
We don't talk about sex like that in our house.
That's obviously banned. Okay,
yeah.
Now here's the big one. That's ghetto. That should be banned.
Now, I point out specifically certain things are just unacceptable. And, I mean, ghetto is just one of those things.
That's a shame we don't have more time because that's the one that blows up. Oh,
wow.
Yeah. Are we totally out of time?
Yeah.
Oh, we are totally out of time.
I also had a clip from J.B. Fox, if you remember, he calling Barack Obama our Lord and Savior.
Tune in next week. We're going to try to jam it all in next week.
Oh, just too much information, just on a roll.
We'll go fast.
Saving America, one mind at a time, folks. Have a good night now.
You too.
With unfathomable power.
What kind of power?
Unfathomable. It's without fathoms.